What it do? What it do? We are back again. I always say three's a charm, man. It's the third one today. What's going on, family?
Chilling. What's
Going
going
on,
on,
JR?
Andrea?
What it do? Feeling a little sick, man.
Sick. You sick?
Yeah, you put some overtime in today, big brother.
No, man. I'm sitting here rushing, man. I was cooking something and I cooked it shorter than anticipated. So when I was
Oh
eating,
no.
I'm just like, I don't think this cooked all the way. I realized I put it in there for 12 minutes instead of 17 minutes. So,
At least you're cooking.
man, I'm glad my son didn't eat it yet. I'm just like, wait 1 second. Another 7 minutes on this, brother, but I got to slow down. So,
What'd you cook?
salmon burger, man.
You said
But
salmon burger?
yeah,
I never heard that one.
It's a patty made out of salmon. High protein. What is what?
There's gonna be no high protein now, man. It's feeling weird. Like, the first thing I was thinking about was that guy that was eating raw meat. And so I just started just painting that picture like, damn, am I him? But my stomach is, I don't know, I feel like I'm changing. So if y'all see me morph into something, be afraid to
JR,
come.
you went to go see Sinners or something? Is that what you downloaded Sinners and checked it out?
I don't know, I'm feeling funny though. But yes. Hey, this ain't a
I
nice
know
feeling.
that's right.
I'm trying to find something sweet. I was drinking some pickle juice. I'm trying to do anything to kind of settle this, but I'm just feeling weird. Anyhow, not y'all concerned. I know why y'all here. I'm here for the same reason. We got an excellent show for you guys. Candace Owens exposed feminists with truth about how divorce and violence rates, man. So this is a lengthy clip, so I'm gonna break it up into 2 parts. And we're gonna go ahead and react to it. Yeah, Jay is back. Jay, you got they've been missing you, man. It's like the Bruno Mars over here, man.
Life, yo.
Yeah.
Life.
What's going on, Construct Icon? How you doing? Doug Will said, "What's good, people?"
Hi.
Here we go. That flavor says, "Damn, man, you going out today?" I'm trying to make it the sound like
Ow.
Tiny 2.0, salmon croquette. Not what a salmon croquette, it was a salmon
Oh,
burger.
okay.
Say,
Now we talk right there. Some salmon croquette
Hey,
there.
raw meat is good for you, just saying. I don't know where you're going with that one, though, Will. Let's see, Christopher Matthews. Going on, Nike as always. What's going on? We ain't gonna hold you guys too long, man. Let's go ahead and get this started. Hit the like button. Also, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Oh, well, I'm at it, man. I had to run this ad one more time, man. I'm just so happy about these damn belts, man. And my savior. So y'all stay tuned while I go ahead and run this ad for you guys. Click that link. Anson, belt, and buckle. Every stylish guy knows what takes an outfit from good to great is the attention to detail. And nothing completes a look like the right belt. You know what ruins a great outfit fast? A worn out belt that doesn't fit right. Most guys are still rocking belts with stretched out holes that either pinch your waist or sag and throw off the whole look. That's why I'm excited to partner with today's sponsor, Anson Belt and Buckle. This family-run company has been around since 2009, and they've completely reimagined how belts should work. Instead of holes, Anson Belt uses a micro-adjustable track system with quarter-inch increments. That means you get the perfect fit every single time. And once you feel that kind of comfort and precision, you'll never want to wear a traditional belt again. The best part, you can mix and match every buckle with any strap. One box set gives you 9 different belt combos, so you'll get to maximize versatility with way less clutter in your closet. But this isn't just about style, it's about feeling more comfortable, more confident, and more put together every time you get dressed. Anson Belt moves with you. So whether you're sitting, standing, or on the go, you're always comfortable and always looking sharp. I've been wearing mine nonstop, and honestly, it's the best belt I've ever owned. Once you try it, you will see exactly what I mean. You won't go back. And here's why you can trust them. They're still proudly family owned. They've earned over 40,000 5-star reviews, and every belt is backed by a lifetime guarantee on functionality. They stand behind every product they make, and once you try one, you'll understand why. And because Anson Belt and Buckle is sponsoring today's video, when you click the link in the description or scan this QR code to build a box set, you'll get 2 bonus pieces, a buckle and a strap completely free. That's 3 buckles and 3 straps, which you can mix and match into 9 unique belt combos all in one box. It's an exclusive deal you won't get anywhere else, so click the link, build your set, and upgrade your belt games today. All right, shout out to Anson. Belt and buckle, man. Quality, man. I'm trying to tell y'all. You gotta get you one, man. Put that in the camera. See that? Wait till the focus. Let's get it to focus. Get it to focus. There we go. There we go.
Oh, wow, the detail.
Yeah, just very detailed. Anyhow, let's go ahead and get into it. Jay looked like a hood vampire in that ad. Yeah, the shot.
So
Yeah. You know, I have to get in my bag with that one. Anyhow, let's go ahead and play this clip. Make sure y'all pay attention again. This is Jubilee. Jubilee does copyright very quickly. So I have still photos and we have the audio. So put your listening, if you got your earpiece in, listen to some music or having a sad conversation or just sit on the phone breathing with someone. Now is the time to hit end because we are about to get into it. Here we go.
Okay, so you say that women are more fulfilled at home with kids than going out into the workforce or getting educated, but that just really doesn't bear out when you look at the stats, when you look at how working mothers are way less likely to be in poverty. Maternal education is the #1 predictor of childhood outcomes, better scores, getting higher incomes in the future, fewer behavioral problems, better mental health. So it's weird to me and college educated women are least likely to get divorced, and they're the only women, the top 10% of women are the only women whose marriage rates are going up. So they're getting married, they're staying married, and their kids are doing better. When you look at stay-at-home mothers, you see that they're more likely to report being depressed, they're more likely to report having anxiety and anger and all these types of things. So how can you say that? Seems like a woman, if you want to get married and have kids, you should go to college and have a career.
So it sounds to me like we are looking at totally different statistics because everything that you said, I've actually read the exact opposite.
I'm glad we're on a fact check show with you.
Right, exactly.
Oh, it's so exciting.
That's going to be amazing. Okay, because I know, like I said, I think what we're talking about is that there was this widespread report on female happiness, and I know that it was formally debunked, and it was
That's not what I'm talking about. Pew Research,
Right.
University of California. In fact, working mothers today spend more time with their children than women did in the 1960s that were at home.
Okay, well, women that are at home are obviously spending more time with their children than the people who are at work.
And their
today.
children are not faring off any better, and they're faring off worse.
How are you measuring their children faring off worse?
How likely they are to higher incomes, better scores, fewer health problems, fewer behavioral issues, and better mental.
So the just to get back to the claim that I'm making here is that it is obvious that women who have children are going to be more fulfilled.
How is
right?
that obvious? Because you said so?
No, it's not obvious because I said so. It's because when you look at all the statistics in terms of women who are choosing not to have families, they are, as the person who just sat here before you mentioned, they are suffering from more depression. They're suffering from more anxiety. And
that's not true.
Okay, it is true. It is actually true that women who are choosing their careers over starting families are finding themselves leaning more onto medicines like Xanax, anxiety-inducing medicines, and depression because they suspended that time frame where women really should be looking to find a partner and to start a family because they were instead pursuing their careers.
Then why are they better off?
It is a dishonest, it is totally a dishonest narrative that men and women want the same things out of life. We don't. We absolutely do not want the same things out of life. In fact, we don't even measure success the same. Men and women don't even measure success the same.
So,
okay?
but tell me how the women who are working and getting educated, why are they faring off better in all of these?
I am telling you that I do not believe they are faring off better in all of these measures.
Because of what?
I am telling you that we are looking at totally opposite statistics. Like, so you're sitting here telling me that the statistics show that women who are working are producing better children, but I am saying that women that grow up in a 2-family home where the mother stays at home are faring off better than the the children who are being raised in an environment
Where the
both
women
of
are
parents,
working?
where both of the parents are
why don't
working
you
away
stay
from the
home?
home. I do get to work from home.
No, but
that's the irony.
I mean,
That's
I've
why I
watched your
said
show.
I'm
You talk about all the
actually-
nannies you hire, and it's so
I actually
hard to
have
find a good
never
nanny.
talked about all of the nannies I hire,
Yeah,
but
you have.
I spoke about how difficult it was to find a babysitter who knew how to cook a meal, and that's because who
you
knew how to
don't need
make.
a babysitter. You're already. You could retire right
You have
now.
to let people respond to you when they're speaking.
You don't want to.
to
retire.
respond to you when I
No, you
speak?
don't want to. You want to be working, which is great.
You're telling me what I want now and then accusing me of telling you.
Wait,
what
you don't want to work?
Can you just let me finish? Because you've said so many words that what you're trying to do here, like your argument style, is I'm going to say so much and not let her get a word in and then walk away and feel like I've won.
get your word in.
We're not having a conversation because you've not letting me respond to even one of your points.
Go for it.
Okay. What I am saying to you, first to answer what you just said, which was a lie, what I spoke to you about on the weekends is that it's been increasingly difficult to find a 25-year-old who even knows how to make boxed macaroni and cheese, right? And that's crazy. That is in large part due to feminism. Women don't even focus. Like there's this idea that women shouldn't be cooking. Like there's something fundamentally wrong with women even learning how to cook.
Are you
know what I mean?
spending as much time with your children as you possibly can? Because that's the way to get the most fulfillment.
No, and that's what I'm trying to say. I am speaking to you
So
as.
then stop.
Okay, could you please let somebody get in
I
a
did.
word
I
edgewise?
let you finish.
You're not.
I
You
did.
actually have not let anybody finish. And like I said, it's no one benefits when you're just speaking over me and not allowing me to respond. All you're proving is that you have an attitude and you
Okay,
believe
can you
in
address the
feminism,
point now?
but you're not. That's what I'm saying. You just have an attitude, and it's not
Trying
cute.
to-
It's performative.
I'd love if
I'm
you
actually
address my point. I will be
Gosh,
quiet
come on,
if you
man.
address my point.
Does anybody actually feel here that I am being allowed to address any of her points when she just
Yes,
keeps running
yes.
over me? Like I'm literally trying to answer
Everybody
your
said yes.
first point of you saying that I don't stay at home.
Yeah,
Fair
that was
point.
really weird. Yeah.
Fair point. Obviously, I get that you're all anti-Candace and pro-feminist, but also it's not productive if you're not actually.
Okay, address the
responding.
point. You spend more time saying that I'm not addressing, that you don't have a chance to talk. The whole time you could have addressed the point.
Okay.
You could have talked.
I
So go for it.
just want you to know that you're not coming across as somebody who wants to actually have a conversation. So to get back to the claim, because I don't even know where you're at. You're now talking. You're saying that I said stuff in my podcast.
I'll go wherever you want to
that
go.
I never said.
I'll go wherever
So do you
you
want
wanna
to
go.
start with me working at
No,
home? Because I work at
let's
home.
go.
You just said something about me working
You
at
travel
home.
all around the world.
Okay,
You do speech.
I'll stop it there. I don't like the conversation went any further than that. We only got a little bit more to go. First question to the panel. Are women truly more fulfilled at home raising kids than pursuing a career? So we got two ladies on the panel. But man, you guys starting first because you guys are ladies. Are women truly more fulfilled at home raising kids than pursuing a career?
I would say emphatically 100% yes. When you are at home, you get to pour into your children in a way that no babysitter, no daycare center, no way, like no one else can other than you. I think it strengthens your bond with your child. And when we talk about female happiness, it isn't the achievement of accolades that is fulfilling. I think for women, nurturing and feeling like all of your feminine assets are being appreciated, and having a child to pour into and to see them consistently grow. I think that no job can fulfill that feeling, that void. I agree with Candace. I think staying at home, developing your children, creating a home is it's not easy work, but it is fulfilling work and very rewarding work. I don't even think it's work, to be honest, sometimes. I think it's, I think that all of this material acquisition doesn't mean anything if you do not provide space and time to develop your family. What do you think, Dory?
I think that's true to some degree with like the traditional women, but these days I think the trajectory has shifted now to the point where it's like, okay, there's a lot of responsibility. It's expensive to have kids. It's just, now, marriages are kind of suffering in the romance department because of all the responsibilities. Women are getting more stressed when they're working and trying to raise the kids. So it's like all of these new things that have come in has kind of shifted it a bit. But I think that, back in the day when women were staying home, raising the kids, it was a little bit easier back then. So that's pretty much my take.
So may I ask a question, Dory?
Mm-hmm.
So are you saying that because of the modern struggles to survive, that's what makes it, but does that, just because there is more of a challenge, does that negate the fact that women are more fulfilled at home raising their children?
I think that the ones who planned to have children, yeah, I would say yes. That's why I said partially. But the ones that didn't, and it just happened out of nowhere, a little less, likely there. And then, of course, the ones that are just, not even thinking of that at all because they're just thinking about all the other things that go into it, like the expenses, they most likely wouldn't.
So if in modern society we could create a structure where women didn't have to think about like financial pressures or like in Sweden, for example, or in South Korea, the moment you have a baby, the government gives you $1,000 a month. In certain places in the world, women report a lot of happiness. And it is because the government subsidizes a lot of those financial stresses. Do you think if that happened here, that would be different?
Yeah, that could shift it for sure. Yeah, I think that would do it.
Yeah, because I do believe that financial struggles impact a mother's happiness. But I don't. But I think what Candace is talking about is an inherent fulfillment that we get when we're nurturing our children, that all women would be more fulfilled by if we prioritize that as a culture. Because in other cultures they do, and it's not even necessarily like in African cultures, everyone raises the child. Like she gets to disperse that stress amongst her support network. So I do think American women need more support, but I don't think Candace's claim is incorrect. Women are more fulfilled that way, I think. But yeah.
Okay. Let me get some of the gentlemen involved. Jay, I'm going to go ahead and start with you. Some of the women that you've spoken with or what you're seeing, are women truly more fulfilled at home raising kids than pursuing a career?
I believe what Ashanti said in terms of support. If they're raising the kids at home, however, there is a support system, I think that's more beneficial. And I think they're fulfilled in that capacity, because if you have somebody on Section 8 that's just home, paying $13 rent, and they got these kids running around all day, nah, I don't think they're fulfilled. I think they're tortured, and I think they take that torture and they'll naturally throw it back out to the kids. The kids will receive some of that. But I think it's all about a support system. If there is a village built where she can have help with these kids, and yeah, it's fulfilling. But if you just have one person every day with these kids, there's no break or anything like that, it could pose a problem.
Okay. Go ahead straight like that.
Yeah, you guys can hear me now?
Yes, sir. We can hear you.
Yeah. I think women are more fulfilled if they have kids. I do. With a guy, I have 2 kids. The mothers are very much fulfilled by having the children. I was fortunate enough to be in the kid's life, so therefore, as Jay would say, they had some sort of support. So it wasn't so stressful because they weren't doing it by themselves. I think to the larger point, which I'll get into if the conversation leads that way, I think women need to think about, or feminist women need to think about that women having children is just how you build a community. So all those women in in that room that's a feminist, they have to appreciate the fact that their mothers went to term and they found some sort of fulfillment in that, and that these women are able to have the breath of life to be able to speak and have their thoughts and their opinions that wouldn't have happened if a mom didn't find any sort of fulfillment in having the kid. Whether or not it was difficult or not, I think that's a larger point. That's the only way to make a community is to have kids. So without any woman deciding to have kids and to value families, then where are you going to get your barbers, your technicians, your bus drivers, your gardeners, your feminists? Where would these women that are feminists be able to have the privilege of having their own free thought and to be able to have their own existence if women didn't prioritize families? So I think that's a larger point, but that's another conversation. But I just do feel women do find a fulfillment in that because you're created to have kids.
What are your thoughts, Ink?
I think when they, I don't know, maybe their newborn years, I think women are good with that at first, but when they get to them terrible twos, then they like, man, they ready to get out of the house and get back into the workforce and start to really searching to get back in the workforce. Look, I think it's going to take a little bit of time and depend on how the kids turn out, where they're going to really start to see the fruits of their labors. You know what I'm saying? To me, I would definitely recommend a family, if they can, to homeschool as much as possible. And yeah, start off at an early age of doing that. And maybe if their kids decided to get into some extracurricular activity, maybe then send them to a public school or a private school, whatever of their choice, so the mother can actually have a real break. Because if she's staying with the kids home all the time and she's doing also decided to do homeschool, it really does wear on her. So she's probably gonna not see much the fulfillment. She's gonna see more of it as a burden until she starts to see the benefits that they was able to see, and then she start comparing to maybe some of the neighbors' kids or some of her friend circle kids and seeing how they struggle or going through the challenges of going to a public school and dealing with the learning curricula that they have compared to the influence that she could be having on their kids. I think it'll be that way as far as women pursuing. But if you get with a woman who's gun ho about doing it, yeah, she as soon as she can, she's gonna throw that little boy, that little child in a daycare, and she's gonna get back to the boardroom. She's not gonna look. She's not gonna be fulfilled. But it takes a certain type of woman to say they're truly fulfilled. But unfortunately, those certain type of women are rare and far between. The average woman is gonna definitely not be fulfilled because she feel like it's a way to hold me back. I just think he's getting me pregnant on purpose just to control me. That's some of the things you may hear. So I'll leave it there.
Yeah, I agree with you, Hank. And that's the modern woman you're talking about. She wants more of a balance where she's able to kind of do both of them, and she don't want to be able to pick one. It's like one or the other. So, like her fulfillment when it comes to that, it will be different. It's more fluid.
Yeah.
So, I agree with that. But I think a lot of people don't even get the opportunity to realize how fulfilling it may be. Because once you get older, you're kind of tired and worn down. So when you're thinking about having kids, it's not everyone, but the older we get, the more we slow down, whether we realize it or not. And we have to, a lot of times people have to do things like exercise and stay in shape. And if we look around, a lot of people are not in shape. And so you got to factor that in your energy level when you get to those higher ages and trying to have a child. But a lot of folks, I said that to say a lot of people don't even get a chance to see how fulfilling it can be because they start so late. But if they was to start earlier in the right situation, then I think there's more of a fulfillment. So the people that don't have children, they can't really speak to it because they haven't experienced it. We need to know what it is. And a lot of parents um, don't even have a plan when they have kids. They don't even know what it feels like. They kind of learn on the fly. That's why the second child and the third child often got all the blessings from the first child. The first child was just a trial, and you kind of learn along the way. But then once you get a nice little rhythm, then the child's the parenting seems to improve. So just to answer the question, I don't think a lot of people know what it is because they're not trying to do it in the first place, and we don't prioritize family.
I was gonna ask
Yeah,
something
let me
too.
ask you a question real fast. Go ahead, though.
Oh, I was just gonna ask, does the way they turn out, like if they turn out completely different from how you raised them, would you feel fulfilled if that was the case? Like if they like for example, if they turn out in a worse way, you know, I wonder about that. I was just curious. Like, would
That's
you
a great
still
question.
Yeah.
So your,
Yeah.
so your question is, if your child turns out in the worst way, do you still feel like you
Or just
fulfill?
not in the way that you raised them to be.
Yeah, just like almost the opposite of the beliefs and all of that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, they decided to become a ballerina, a nighttime
Or
ballerina.
you know, your son becomes a drug dealer and that's not how you wanted him to be. Do you still
Yeah.
feel fulfilled as a parent?
That's a great question.
No, honestly, I think you start to think about where you could have improved because, like I use my son for an example. He had this ambition to be a rapper. It's one of the things that he wanted to do. And realistically, I'm like, it's not that you can't do it, but you need to that should be your plan B and not your plan A. But sometimes they don't receive it well. It comes off as more, you don't believe in me.
Yeah.
So, and time keeps happening, and then you either have children that go along with the program or children that have to learn the hard way. So once they learn the hard way, I guess that would be a good example of the child that you're speaking of. So I think what's on their side is they're young, so there's still some time to grow, and you hope that they get it sooner than later because once you start passing 25, then it's like you're officially reaching bum status. So it's only so much that you can really do because they're grown. So it still haunts you. It still comes back in your head. It's like you want to give them room to breathe, to fail, and to figure out life on their own. But at the same time, you still feel like it's an obligation. So you may not tap in as much as you normally would if they was under your household, but you still feel an obligation as a father. And I speak for myself to reach out and to see if you can kind of connect and put the pieces together for them rather than just, okay, the hell with you. Go and live your life.
Question, JR.
JR, real quick, before because I love your answer, but before we continue, I don't know what everyone's stance is on what fulfillment is. I mean, we have a different um, definition of what that would look like. I don't know how I don't know if everybody perceives fulfillment the same way. Real quick, before you guys answer that question, I look at fulfillment meaning you did your duty, you did your responsibility on this earth. So, with that being said, there's a certain level of sacrifice that's going to come with your responsibility. But if you don't do what you were created to do, you're kind of not fulfilled, and it comes with a certain level of sacrifice, which most people are not willing to do. But that's just my definition of fulfillment. It's not always happiness. It's more so doing what you're responsible to do. But I don't know if anybody else agree with that.
So then what is your responsibility to do on this earth?
To be an example.
Example.
And then to be an example in general to like my brothers and sisters. to obey my parents. That's when I'm a child and then I grow up to an adolescence. You obey your parents, then they teach you. And then also, then my second responsibility is to also submit to the Most High. So, because I believe in that. Then once you do that, then once you become a man, your job as a man is to be a father in any capacity, whether
Okay,
you have
so
natural children,
mm,
stuff like that.
so your purpose, your assignment is to be a father,
Yes.
and that's it.
No. It's one of them.
Right. So then, what is your assignment? Your purpose in life?
Like the
Like,
To
like,
worship,
right?
and so your first purpose is to worship and submit to the Most High, and the second is to obey your parents, and your third responsibility is to be a father, because obviously I'm not I'm a different state, I'm a different version of myself based on my age.
So God created you to be a father, and then
Hmm.
and to worship Him, and to be example for your kids, and then that's it.
Yes.
I Okay. I mean, who am I to tell you that that you're
you,
not
You
correct?
could
But
disagree. No, you could
yeah,
disagree. I'm just saying
yeah.
that's why I asked what is fulfillment for everybody. That's just what
yeah,
fulfillment means to me.
well,
But yeah.
the reason why I asked that question directly is because I've had a conversation like this, and I think a lot of people, it sounds like it's an excuse a lot of times. I think a lot of people put it up and say, I'm just focusing on my purpose, I'm trying to focus on my assignment. And some people may figure it out, but I think a lot of people don't even know, and they never figure it out. And so it's one of those
I
things
agree.
where it sounds good to say. It kind of fills a certain part of your brain to make it feel like you are actually doing something. So like whenever they see a situation that they don't want to be in, then they would use, well, I need to focus more on my purpose and not this, or you're just not my purpose. It's these fillers. So
And your purpose changes.
yeah, like your purpose, I think that's a good point. Your purpose can change. So when people are searching and they're searching, and they're searching, but they're being taken away from things that they could be doing. So I just think to make an excuse a lot of times. That's the reason I asked you. A lot of people don't know. Like I didn't really get what you said. If you told somebody that, they'd probably be like, "Well, that's it."
Yeah.
Well, remember
I,
what I
I don't
said.
know
I
if
said
I don't know if I can agree that your purpose will change. I think your purpose is your purpose. It
Right.
may look different, but I don't think that it necessarily changes. So if you're a teacher, right? If you were put here to teach or to bring awareness, enlightenment, that along the path is all going to look the same, but maybe the way that you do it is going to look different.
Right.
I don't think that your purpose necessarily would change, though.
I agree with that.
But remember remember, just to give you guys a background real quick. Remember, I started off saying that your age also determines your purpose, because when I was 7, my purpose wasn't what my purpose is now at the age that I am. So I broke it down in a couple of different factors. And I agree with JR. People use that term loosely to not take accountability for certain things. But I think when I was a child, my purpose at that point was to just obey my parents. It doesn't mean that your parents are always right, but the principle is that they're your parent. So therefore you submit to them. Then once you do that, then once you become a man, because I'm a man, I'm not a woman, my job now is to be a father and to be an example and to have children, be a
That's
dad,
that's that's
and
not your
so
that's not a purpose, though. That's
Right.
that's your duty.
That's a
Your
role.
that's an obligation.
Yeah.
So it's an obligation and a duty for you to obey your parents.
Yeah.
Once you become a man and have children, it's an obligation and a duty to be a father. That has nothing to do with your purpose.
Yeah. I agree. It's like the chair, like
what's your definition of purpose?
may I? Or go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, no,
Yeah, go ahead,
go
Ashanti.
ahead.
No, go ahead,
Each
Ashanti. I want to hear you.
It's the essence of who you are. There are certain qualities and traits and skills that you have been endowed with that no one else has. And it is, for example, if we take a chair, no matter how you design a chair, in its essence, all chairs have 4 legs and a seat, right? And so the purpose of that chair, or at least the way in which that chair has been designed, is to fulfill the purpose to allow things to like to lay on it or whatever, or sit on. In a similar sense, each one of us have certain skills, characteristics, natural talents, and proclivities, whatever, certain things that essentially make you you, that no matter what circumstance you are in, it will always be in your essence. And your purpose essentially is allowing all of those skill sets to come into unity so you can fulfill the thing that you're supposed to do. And that can be expressed in many different ways, but to me, is your purpose is the essence of who you are. All your characteristics coming together in one to fulfill a certain destiny. And it will always want to be expressed no matter where you are, how old you are, it will always be there. And certain, like if you look at your children, there are certain things that are in your children that have always been in your child. That is part of their essence, their purpose, in my opinion. And like there's no way you can take that away from your child, no matter how much you try. If your child likes to dance and sing, that's part of their purpose.
And they might not ever live in that purpose, but that is their purpose. Like you can have a purpose and be ignoring the hell out of it.
Yes. And those people, you see them. Those are the people who are afraid to fully express themselves. They're the ones who are comfortable with someone else telling them what to do because they're so divorced from what they naturally should do that they need an outside source to tell them, do this. This is what you must do. This is what you're obligated to do. And they live very unhappy lives because they're disconnected from that purpose, Jay. I think it's a very scary thing to live authentically in your purpose for some people.
For a lot of people.
For a lot of people. So it's easier to like adopt these like socially acceptable, like, oh, my purpose is to be a mom or whatever, because you're so afraid of being what your actual purpose is. I don't know. That was maybe a bad example, but
no, there's
it's the
I'm somewhat in agreement with that, because it may be the purpose of Anne. It may be your purpose to birth the next president.
Mm-hmm.
So is up to you to instill this specific experience for this child to be influenced to whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I think that you can even say that it's some people's purpose to be a martyr.
I see that. Yeah.
The death of this person may trigger the trajectory of someone else's life.
Yes.
To, you know what I'm saying, go this way or that way.
Absolutely.
So I think it just depends, you know.
I do want to switch back over and make sure we get back to the topic, but before I do, let me go ahead. Sophisticated Jerk $10 says women only want to stay at home if they can't leave the executive or fun job. If they wanted to stay at home, they would never have advocated to work. Sophisticated Jerk $10 says, can a person have multiple purposes? And Naomi became a YouTube member. Welcome, Naomi, to the Green Gang. Glad you joined. If you haven't already, hit that like button. Also, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Let's go ahead and get into this next question that I have from the clip. Why do some women report higher levels of depression and anxiety as stay-at-home moms? Why do some women report higher levels of depression and anxiety as stay-at-home moms?
I think it's because they don't, I mean, they don't have much to do, really. It's like you kind of like, you see the same thing, you get up, you do the same routine every day. You know, it's kind of like it can get depressing when you don't have a variety in your daily life. And then I also think, too, if you're a more extroverted person, you're definitely going to have depression because your energy is around people and being outside versus an introvert is it's more easier for them to just stay in all the time. So I mean, I think it's just not having much to do and just going through the same routine every day.
All
Dang.
right.
I think you could argue also that that's the same thing that happens with single women who work a 9 to 5, who go to their 9 to 5 job, who come home and cook dinner for themselves, and it's the same thing over and over again, and there isn't that stimulation. I think the reason why they report higher levels of depression, anxiety, is because, well, two things: maybe a lack of support or recognition for the work that they do. And living in a modern society like this, the comparison is pretty high. There is this, there could be this feeling of I'm not doing enough and I should be doing enough because she's seeing all of these images of boss babes and women conquering the world and she's just at home. It could probably trigger feelings of insignificance. And I don't think we live in a society where, you know, mothers are put on pedestals, you know. So it could just
Lem-
be, it's maybe not the work, it's the lack of recognition for the work.
I just want to clarify, JR, you saying why do who women who work have higher levels of depression than women that stay at home? Is that what the question is?
No, the question was why do some women report higher levels of depression and anxiety as stay-at-home moms? But I kind of
Oh,
want to get a couple response. I got another question I'm gonna pose. So if you guys don't mind, has feminism helped or hurt women when it comes to fulfillment and family? Has feminism helped or hurt women when it comes to fulfillment and family?
I think it's I mean, I would say it's hurt in the capacity that they've been instructed to do it alone. You know what I mean? And we're not made to be alone. I mean, as much as you have people preaching, do it all by yourself, this world is not made to be alone, be by yourself, or be lonely. You bust your ass, you work, you have accomplishments, you have wins, you have losses. All that stuff sucks by yourself. You know what I'm saying? When you have your losses, it's really fun to have somebody there to, a soft landing to say, yo, and think about it and, come up with a plan together on how to bounce back when you have wins. Yo, I won. Could you imagine if a basketball player hit a shot at the buzzer, but there was nobody in the stadium to care? Like that would be a whole
Great
different.
theory.
He won. He won. Boom, hit it at the buzzer, but it's nobody to care.
Mhm.
Like wins, losses, all that stuff. It's a lot better when you have somebody to share it with. So I think, they've been indoctrinated into thinking I'm gonna do this by myself, and they're not built that way.
Yeah.
But they're not
You
gonna
know,
tell you.
I'm sorry.
Nobody's gonna for him. Nobody's gonna share when I'm laying in bed crying or I'm looking in the mirror and I'm hurt and this doesn't feel good. This is what I've been sold on, but why do I still feel terrible?
Right.
Nobody's gonna sell that to you.
Right. And feminism, I think, is a lie in that sense, where it tries to convince women that you can do it all on your own and be as fulfilled, if not more fulfilled. And that's why, to me, it's inherently disingenuous because it rejects the nature of women, which is communal based, relationship based, interdependent. So, in some ways, I could see how, because I don't think if you grew up around strong women, especially strong Black women, you saw moms, aunties, cousins, women coming together and really working together. They didn't call it feminism. We didn't have to call it feminism. And we didn't call it feminism. There was nothing that, in my opinion, if you grew up around those big mamas, that made you think like, oh, like, she needed a movement for her to feel that empowered. Does that make sense? I think feminism in and of itself is a disingenuous movement. I think women in general have always, in their own capacity, have been fulfilled, empowered in their own ways, and we just didn't acknowledge it. In fact, I think feminism in modern feminism has been hurtful to women in a lot of ways. It's made us competitive. It's made us want to be like men in some ways, but then also hold on to some traditional aspects. And I don't think you can do both at the same time. I don't think feminism has really helped women to find honor their biological imperatives at all. And that's why I think it's a dishonest movement.
No, I think you were right. Modern feminism. I think modern everything has sprinkled a little sauce. Salt Bay has sprinkled a little sauce.
Yeah.
All the modern everything. Even gay is not the same as it was when we grew up. You know what I mean?
not.
Feminism, everything, just extra sauce on it.
Apparently,
My fault, Hank.
yeah, go ahead.
I'm eventually getting here sooner or later. As far as the question, has feminism helped or hurt women when it comes to fulfillment in families? Yeah, I think the 2025 feminism has really hurt because delusions of grandeur is what they are selling a lot of women, and it's not allowing them to get with a man, to find a husband, because of their feminist ways. And so when you have situations like that, now you by yourself, now you bitter, you angry, you looking at everybody else on social media, what they're doing, everything is going right for them, and nothing's going right for you at all. But saying you sitting here miserable, depressed, popping pills, ready to take yourself out of this godforsaken world because of your lack of worth. Because this decision you made, you chose to take up this feminism mantle, and now you're lonely, you're childless, your purpose is up and down because you don't feel like a portion of your purpose is to be a mother, to nurture kids and raise kids and to rear kids, and you're not able to do it because you can't find some man that's willing to partake, to bless you with his last name. So now you just miserable and depressed. And I really think when you got those type of women, they not gonna do but continue to spread the bad message. Yeah, you ain't gonna do what your man said, and they will go after you ladies who are in a relationship, who are in a marriage, and they will try to poison you. You know what I'm saying? This old saying, misery love company. I believe that to the fullest. Because those women will pour that poison on you. You be at the water hole, in the break room, in the lunchroom, and she'll start the woman who's good, she'll start talking about her life, how her kids are doing, and how well they're doing in school, and the kids making an honor roll or are achieving in a certain event or sport. And here come that feminist woman. Well, that sounds depressing. Everything you do is just center around your kids. No, it's not everything she does. It's just a portion of her life. But she feels like that's a major importance, because part of that is watching her kids grow up, seeing her kids be successful, and knowing her husband's gonna come home every day happy and fulfilled because his wife's doing her job, he's doing his job, and everything's good. But she gonna look at, well, I just feel like he's trying to control you, or he's trying to hold you back, or he's not letting you be the best version of yourself. You can't do certain things because of you got other obligations outside of yourself. And so I think those type of women are very poisonous, especially for young, influential women. You know, you got I mean, even some of the older women are weak minded and influential, and they'll fall for the banana on the tailpipe every goddamn time. But more so the younger women. And so when you get a hold of them and start telling that, it's just gonna be a snowball effect. Because guess what they're gonna do? They're gonna go to the other friend circle and they're gonna tell all of them. If you got a woman who's married, who's involved in the relationship, she can kind of offset that bullshit because she can show you, well, it's not that bad. You know, my husband's here. He's taking care of business, making sure our family's good. We living in a good place. We're comfortable. We don't have the most lavish stuff, and that's okay. They good with it, but we are comfortable. We're not hurting for nothing. We don't see eviction notices on our doors, so we good. But she gonna say, well, I live alone in my townhouse, and I don't have to worry about all these birds. I could just pick up and go. Yeah, you can. But when you come home to that cold ass house, that lonely ass bed, and your ass is folded in the fetal position, ready to pop one of them pills just to take you to sleep and take that pain away, you ain't gonna tell her that though. You gonna hold that to yourself because you don't want to let her know how you really feeling.
Most women don't pop pills, Hank. Most women don't pop pills to go to sleep. They pull out that vibrator.
Oh, okay, right on. Okay. Shout out to Straight Like It.
And most feminists, that's what they do. They pull out that vibrator. They pull out that dildo. They relieve themselves. And after they relieve themselves, they feel like, oh, I see, I don't need no man. Yeah, okay.
I was gonna
They give it a little laugh too. Straight Like It, they give it a little laugh too after it's all over.
They do, bro, because literally, a woman will go home, pull out her little toy after acting like she don't need no real man, and then the toy that she pulled out looks just like a man. It's like it's stupid.
Nah, it's usually wine and melatonin, man.
I was gonna say that, like, I think that those women who just think that they can do it all by themselves, it's gonna be a hard reality when, you know, say you're doing regular things like going grocery shopping and you got some heavy groceries you got to carry up the stairs. You don't got your man to help you with that. If you need furniture, you know, need to do assembly, stuff like that, there's nobody to help you. You got to go pay for it. So I think that those types of women, you know, I think after a while, they're going to really see, you know, how bad it is when you think you got it all down and you could do everything a man could do, but really it's a lot harder than that. And it's just, I think that those types of women just take life for granted, you know, and they just have to go through the hardships to realize the value that a man can bring in the household. You know, not only just the companionship too, you know, the protection, but knowing that, you know, we as women, no matter what, we're going to have limits. We're never going to be able to do more than men. We're not stronger than men. So it's like, you know, trying to exceed them in that way is just delusional.
Yeah.
And it's like,
Yeah.
it's not even can I do the same things a man can do? It's do I even want to? You know what I mean? Because you sitting there busting your ass, putting a table together or mounting the TV or doing all that, you could do it, I'm sure. But do you want to do it? Do you really want to do it? After mounting 4 TVs, you know, wouldn't it have been a lot easier to, you know, have a homeboy or a man around to do it? Like, and you watch him and, you know, cook him a meal while he's putting on. We take pride in that stuff. You know, we take pride in stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? I'm sure when Hank go out there and mow the yard and trim the hedges and walk in the house, you know what I'm saying, with his nuts swinging, like he got a nice plate waiting for him. You know, we take pride in that. You know what I mean?
Hold on, Jay.
But you know, we take pride in stuff like that, man. So it's, do they want to do it? And the other thing is, like, feminism is like, it's monetizable. You understand? Which is why it's, you know, even in music, it bleed in music. You know, you have Beyonce with the independent woman, throw them hands up at me, blah, blah, blah. She's married. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got a nigga quick early in the game. You know what I'm saying? You wasn't even out your 20s. You was barely out your teens. If you want to keep it a buck, if you want to really do the research, you know what I'm saying? Her mom taught her that.
Yeah.
Don't you do this shit alone. Who's
Right.
that, Sean? Yeah, let me introduce you to my daughter. Cardi B. All of these people that musically preach feminism, they trying to get a husband.
Right.
Don't let them tell you different.
My thing is with the women that want to do things by themselves, that's fine. I think everybody should have their right to make a choice. So if the women want to be feminists and they want to do things, I'm like, just go somewhere in the earth and just find a land somewhere and just do your thing. But they won't do that. It's like if it's that bad and you don't like men that much, just take all the feminist women, y'all come together and say, listen, we out, and go find some land somewhere and just make your own
Subdivision.
Country or whatever.
Have their own
Yeah, like
subdivision.
what's the problem? Just go. But they won't go because at the end of the day, they still need someone to make the male parts that they use to masturbate to.
What is with you?
Because at the end of the day,
What is going on?
and listen, you want to end an argument with a feminist? Go. If you want to end an argument with a feminist, just say to her, "What is in your drawer? What do you hide underneath your bed?" That's how you end the conversation, because she's gonna be like, "Well, what are you talking about?" I'm like, "What do you have underneath your bed? Like, what do you have in your drawer?" And she'll tell you, "None of your business." Why? Because if you go into her drawer and you go into her under the bed, you're gonna find a male penis. You're gonna find something that pretends to lick the vagina. All the stuff that she wants men to do.
Okay. One thing I want to point out that I think Jay, Dory, and Straight Like That kind of are touching on is the way in which feminism makes you buy into community, right? Like you have to now purchase a man through dildos. You now have to purchase or have someone come over and build your bed. You have to now purchase all of these relationships that you would have naturally had if you built community, which I think you guys touched on really well, is even through music, it is monetized. Feminism is a capitalistic tool. It separates us and then tries to make us buy back the things we would have naturally would have had. I think you guys, in your own way, on that.
Let me get to the super chat right quick. Calvin Bailey, $20 says the modernity of West culture has modified intellect with management sponsored by the what's the Elcon?
Echelon.
Echelon of ignorance, illustrating a rough draft lifestyle without true value. Those managing black and white are hustling gray areas. Thank you, Calvin Bailey, for that super chat. Let me switch it up. I got another question for you guys. Should young girls be taught to aspire motherhood first or ambition first?
Oh wow. I don't know if those things are mutually exclusive. I think if you want to be a good mother, you have to be somewhat ambitious. I think you have to be willing to develop yourself and be hungry about making sure that you develop good people, because they're a reflection of you. I don't know if that's mutually exclusive.
Yeah, I just, my first thought with this is you need to learn how to take care of yourself first before you take care of kids. You need to be able to at least have some experience with financial responsibility and just, getting out there in the world before you do it. Like that's my only thing. Like it, that can be part of ambition.
Yeah.
But that's also going to help you to be able to take care of somebody else. Because I can't imagine you trying to have a kid and you never even paid a single bill.
Yeah.
You never, like I can't imagine that. So that's my thing with that.
Do you think if your goal one day is to be a mother, then you should go through the self-development part of like living on your own, how to be emotionally mature, like you have to go through all of these things before you have a child?
I mean, the living on your own part, that's kind of, I'm on the fence with that. Maybe definitely the financial responsibility and, the emotional stability first. Just making sure that you're ready before you do it.
I agree, because there's a lot of emotionally immature mothers, parents.
Yes.
Right. So yeah, I agree. What do you think, Jay?
No, I think Dory said it. You need to be taught self-sufficiency, as far as knowing how to, balance finances and a skill, identifying what you're good at so you can do that, because you never know when you might have to go back to it. You know what I mean? Like, you want to have it be balanced. You want to teach the child how to cater to someone, or how to cook, life skills, things that they can share with someone else. But, definitely initially teach them self-sustainability, and then that self-sustainability can be shared with another partner. You know how to cook, you know how to balance bills, you know how to do all that. You might not have to do it, but in the need that you need to do it, you have that ability.
Yes.
All right, straight like that, I think.
Yeah, I don't know. You heard straight like that? Or you ready to talk about some more dildos?
Stop playing, bro.
Yeah, drink whooping
Nah,
his ass. Yeah.
nah. I'll let you go first.
Pause.
Okay. So as far as the question, should young girls be taught to aspire to be motherhood first, or ambition first? Okay. Well, look, unfortunately, a lot of fathers do teach their daughters to be ambitious first. Now, most fathers can't imagine teaching their daughter motherhood, because when it comes with motherhood, that means they got to have, you know, they got to get their dick stuck to them. So most fathers don't want to imagine that come to that, even though if we want grandkids, it's gonna have to happen. You know what I'm saying? If she's gonna get married, husband's gonna want some sex. So regardless, it's gonna happen. But most men, most fathers, and really most women too, parents, they're gonna teach their daughters, to better take care of themselves, to go to college, get an education, get your degree, and do all of that. And hopefully, in the meantime, between time, you're gonna learn a little something about motherhood, in passing, because you see your mother doing her gender role type things that she would do. She's cleaning, she's making sure the house is well kept. She's taking care of her husband, doing those type of things. Um, uh, Maybe having you in there cooking, helping her while she is cooking, while she's cleaning up. I need you to, you dry the dishes off while I'm washing and stuff like that. So hopefully, that's what I think most parents are doing in that way. But all of the while we at the dinner table, well, you make sure you stay in school, remain, keep your GPA, you know what I'm saying? So we can roll into a good college, so we get accepted to these good colleges, and go from there. So
Go ahead, straight like that.
yeah, no, I agree with everything Hank just said. So, I think it's necessary to train up women, especially young girls, to be mothers. Absolutely. I think that's beautiful. I think if any man right here has a wife and she's a good wife, you appreciate the parents or her influences that kind of led her to being your wife, because obviously she was raised the right way. So I think that's a beautiful thing. I think it's necessary to do so, and I think also the same responsibilities on the boys as well, to be raised to be husbands. I think it's the same. I think it's both equal. I'm always a component of everybody playing their position. So that's just how I am. That's how I was raised personally, coming up, and I'm more attracted to women that want to be a mother. When a woman has a motherly aura about her, she's way more sexier. Matter of fact, she understands seduction in the sense of she knows exactly what is necessary to pull a man in. And it's not just, you know, her wearing something sexy or necessarily doing something sexual. It could be just like her laughing at your joke, even if it's not even really that funny. You know what I'm saying? Or like if you were to take her out on the date or whatever the case is, she'll say thank you. Like that makes a man's day, you know. So I think yes, that's the qualities of a mother. But I think we should, especially in 2025, I think women that desire to be a wife, they should be holding women more accountable in terms of how they treat men in general, individually. And then the last point I would say is this: it also goes a little bit deeper. It goes to aunties. If you have a niece or a cousin or something like that, you got to be very, very mindful of like, yo, listen, we have to start realizing what it is to be a wife if we're calling ourselves this, and then set those parameters and then talk to each other about it collectively.
Let me ask the gentleman this real quickly. Are you okay with your daughter staying at home at the house until she's married?
I don't have kids,
Yeah,
but
I didn't have
yes.
I didn't have a problem with it, but you know, there was like stipulations, you know what I'm saying? Once my daughter said, well, no, daddy, I'm grown. Oh, well, that's a trigger for me. Because as soon as you say that, then now I'm not going to see you as a child no more. I'm gonna see you as a grown adult, and now you got to get that adult treatment. So, yeah, I need something on these bills. I need something on this house payment. I need for you to carry one of these utilities. Since you grown, right? This is what you want. Then okay, but you know, no, of course, prior to her saying that and share that with me, I had no problem. Take care of your business, save some money because you're going to need it, especially if you're trying to buy a home. You and your future fiance are going to buy a home. You better save your money because you're going to need it. I had no problem. My son has the same rule. You know, fortunate enough for him, he learned the lessons from his sister. I don't expect him to say it no time soon because one thing I didn't do with my daughter is let her get a job. You know, she didn't have to work while she was in school or in college. She didn't, and so with my son, he's working during the summer, and so he realizes, damn man, I don't like this hard sweat labor stuff. I'm glad you don't. Then you better stay in school, get your degree, and do what you got to do. And then you don't have to work on these hard labor warehouse type jobs or nothing like that. You can go and write your ticket and work for where you want to do because you got your degree, and it's going to take you wherever, pretty much wherever you want to go, whatever state, maybe a different country, if that's what you choose. So that really helped with him. Now, of course, you know, you always say with your oldest, you're going to learn. You realize you don't know nothing about parenting on your first child. By the second child, you know you're a professional. But with that first one, you know, and I had to tell her, you know, hey, I wasn't always the best parent because I was learning. I didn't know anything. You didn't come with that manual. My my influence wasn't always the best because I came from a broken home, and then my father got married. I remarried, and I kind of learned something from him when he finally came back in my life. But majority of the time I didn't. So I'm just learning on the whim, learning by doing the things what I was raised, correcting you in ways I was raised, disciplining you, teaching you in the ways I was raised. But you know, you live and learn. But yeah,
Go ahead, Jay. I know you're gonna say something.
No, I was gonna say I do agree with Hank in terms of I would let my daughter stay in the house as long as she needed to. You know, it's different with daughters and sons. Well, let me ask you, this might be too personal, Hank. You know, would you let your son bring company over and, you know, clap cheeks in your house?
no, we ain't doing that. Shit,
Okay.
only person clapping cheeks in my goddamn house is me. Now, if he does it, I don't know it. That's a different
You
conversation.
don't.
But
That's
That's
the
different. Yeah,
unspoken rule.
exactly.
That's
yeah,
the unspoken,
knowingly, no,
knowingly.
So
Yeah.
wait. So Hank, if he got away with it and you found out the next day, would you still punish him, or you just say, "Ah, you got away with it"?
You talking about a grown man? How I'm gonna punish a grown man? I mean, only thing I could do is
No, I'm
coach
saying
him up
like,
and tell him.
no, I'm saying to
Oh,
Jay's question, like if you had a son in your house, if he's sexually active, but you have a rule where he can't have no girl come over. But I'm saying if he did, but you didn't know about it, but you found out, would you still punish him the next day, or would you just kind of like ignore it?
you don't ignore it. You got to address it, but you just let it be known. Look, first things first. I'm gonna tell him, man. Look,
Hmm.
I know you're gonna do what you got to do, but you're not gonna do it here. Make sure you wear a raincoat if you're going to do it. You understand what I'm saying? Make sure you protect yourself. Don't trust what she's saying to you about she's on the pill. She's got some condoms. You don't accept condoms from women. We don't, because I don't know her intentions. I don't know her agenda. So no, I would. That would be part of the lesson. But then I'm gonna follow up and end it off with this. Hey, don't be doing that shit in my house. Go get a goddamn hotel for all I care. But you're not doing this shit in my goddamn house.
Would you give him money for the hotel? Like,
No.
if he's certain age? Never?
No.
Okay.
Hey, this
But
a
he's
little
a
bit
scholarship check.
Yeah, that's a little bit funny though. But if you heard it, would you go stop it? Or would you let him finish?
Yo, if you heard him doing it good, like if you heard him making you proud, man.
That's true.
Hey, fortunately, I got this great system called Ring, and I get all notifications, so I know what's going and coming. I got in my house too, so I see what's coming up them stairs or down them stairs. So now, hopefully, he knows. If he's gonna do a jail in my house, it's got to be when I'm not home.
Like, damn, he put me in and said, we just talked about this shit on the show.
Nah, I asked that question because you hear like I respect exactly what you said, Hank. You know what I mean? But then I have other people that I know that are parents that say stuff like, where I'd rather them be in the privacy of their own home rather than in a damn backseat of a damn Honda Accord. You know what I'm saying? Where they looking around for danger, condom
Right.
might have came off, but they looking to make sure ain't nobody, so I've heard that, but I respect 100% because my pops was exactly like you are, what I'm saying, for the most part. However, I've heard other people, offer another option, and I didn't disagree with it. Like I've heard a parent, talk about letting their kids smoke weed because they'd rather them be in the house rather than in a car on the corner, or and a lot of stuff can happen in an uncontrolled environment. Same thing with sex. So, I just I don't have any kids, so I got blind spots. So I kind of, pick your brain.
Yeah, copy that.
Good question.
It's funny you say that because my son, that's where he lost his goddamn virginity in a goddamn car. So,
Yeah, I think
he had no option. You didn't give him no options.
Yeah, you know.
You didn't give him no option.
Yeah,
I'm
no.
going to go ahead and put a little bit more of this next clip. Guys, haven't already hit that like button. Also, make sure you subscribe to the channel. What's going on, Vincent? Shout out to my green gangers in the chat. Naomi, what's going on? Erica, how you doing? AP, how you doing? How you doing? Let me go ahead and stop this question. Run this. How you doing, Dory G? Hanging in there pretty well?
Yeah, doing fine.
Got to do a well-being check.
Yeah.
All right, so here's the next one. Here we go. I'm going to stop this one in between, and then I'll continue it.
Next claim is that we live under a matriarchy, not a patriarchy.
Hi,
Hi.
Hello.
Nice to meet you.
It's a pleasure to meet you. I'm Princella, the Queen Maker.
I love that.
So you say we live in a matriarchy.
Right.
Can you give me the definition of patriarchy?
Yes. Well, the patriarchy is the idea that the system, our system in America, is being run by men, and that women are having to exist under a system that immediately disadvantages them because men are behind it. And I disagree with that pointedly. I think actually we're living in a society where people are being very much influenced socially and politically by women.
Okay, so the denotative definition of patriarchy is father rule, and where positions of government are held majorly by men, where women are largely excluded. So 125 House of Representatives are female, and that's only about 25%.
Right.
And only about 28% make up Senate, and 3.3% of Congress up until this date have ever been women. So by denotative definition, we literally live in a patriarchy.
Yes, so I disagree with that. So I think what this gets to, which is actually an important part of the conversation, is that people always think that where there is disparity, there's somehow inequality, and I actually reject that entirely. I think it's just a difference in what we're interested in. I think we're biologically wired, we're interested in different careers, and just because if we looked in the fashion industry and said, oh, well, it's being dominated by women, it wouldn't mean that, okay, well, that means that the fashion industry is a matriarchy and men have no sense. It just means have no ability to communicate how they feel in the fashion industry. I literally think that those numbers show that we're just biologically different. So I actually think politically, women have shown that they have a lot more power than men have. And I'm talking about just in terms of political movements. The most recent I can think of is the Me Too movement, right? If a bunch of women get together and complain about a man and refer to the patriarchy and scream, generally speaking, let me know if you agree, the media will celebrate that. If a bunch of men got together and were shrieking and speaking about women, generally speaking, the media would call them all white supremacists and say that we had a misogyny problem and that things were really wrong in society. Women are allowed to be more vocal in general about problems than men are.
Well, let me speak to that. When we're talking about government and media, these are two different things. So under the denotative definition of a patriarchy, by the percentages that are occupied in the government, which is majority male, defines us as a patriarchy. Now, what it comes to for capitalism, for marketing purposes and control, for capital and revenue, that is a totally different conversation. But who's making the laws? I don't think that women are the ones voting to have their reproductive rights taken away, where you have rape, incest, and all of these things excluded to force women to be able to have. I don't think women in government would largely vote against their own interests because it's majority male, patriarchy.
Okay, I think love that point.
I'm going to stop it right there. First question that I have for you guys is, do we really live in a patriarchy, or are women secretly the more influential gender? Start with one of the ladies first. Ladies first.
Dory, do you want to go or?
Yeah, I think you gotta flip a coin for this.
Okay, fine. I'll just go. I think we still do live in a patriarchy, and the whole feminist, movement is trying to overturn it, and I think we need to still stay in that. I just think that as women, there are just some certain things that we're not meant to take the mantle for, because we still need to work on our emotional intelligence. We still cannot do certain things that men can do. And I just think that, if like they're trying to, I think certain careers and stuff like that they're talking about where, it might be matriarchy or whatever, like, I just think that that's kind of, I don't even know what to say about that, honestly.
Okay. We'll come back to you, Ann.
Okay.
Go straight like that.
All right, so this is going to be kind of a very bold statement, but I think women thinking that they live in a matriarchy based on the definition, it's true. Like men do run the world. So based on that, that's facts. There's nothing women can do about it. It's not like they can take it. So you know, I mean, it is what it is. Men run the world. We're gonna always be at the top. It's meant to be that way. I think in this society, I think the female influence is the trick is turning the men to be like women. So that's why you're seeing a lot of dudes act more like women, painting their nails, wearing dresses, you know, acting very feminine. So I think that's the play. The play is to really make the men act like women because they know the women really can't take the power. But if they can get some of the men to agree with the feminists and act like women, then they'll use those men, you know, to really push their agenda, which is why this is even a thing. Feminism wouldn't even have no merit if gay men weren't trumpeting that, because they got gay allies. So therefore, I do, you know what I'm saying? So I do agree. I do think it's a matriarchy. I do think men run the world, but I also feel like feminism, their main objective is to turn women into men. Therefore, they would have someone to fight their real battle.
Yeah, then men talking about, yeah, I don't wanna be no man no more. You know, it's so much easier. You know, I just can't do it. Like, it's crazy.
Mm.
Facts.
I think I agree with you straight like that. I think, you know, men do run the world, but I think women could, but they don't get along enough or they can't agree enough to take over. You know, a lot of
No, they
them,
can never. They can never. They don't have the physical strength, brother. They can never take over.
no,
It's impossible.
please, with that, dog. I'm sure at some point in our lives we've been manipulated in some capacity to do what a woman wanted us to do.
Yeah.
The real problem is that women don't always agree with women. Like, for instance, you'll have, you know, you look at Joyanne Reed, you know why she was so upset? Because a lot of women just sat in her face and smiled and said that we hate Trump, we hate this person. They said this, they rallied with her, and then they went to the polls and they voted against
Mhm.
who they told her or who she
Mhm.
assumed they were going to vote for. And that's how it is. So, you know, they'll rally with each other, they'll smile, they'll high five, they'll drink wine, but when they go to their households, they're gonna defer to either the man or defer to, you know, their values and how they grew up.
But what I'm saying to you is that it's impossible for women to really run the world because they just don't have the power to do so. Although they do have influence in terms of sexual seduction, which I know is a major tool that they use, that still don't work because at the end of the day, so you made a guy bust a nut. So what? He after he busts a nut, he's still a man at the end of the day. What they're doing is they want men to become feminine because that's who's going to really go to war. The women are not going to fight nothing to take no kingdom or no nothing. They're not doing it. So therefore, how they going to really be in control? They gotta feminize the male population and then put those men on the front lines to fight their war. So that's the only way they can do it. That's the reason why feminism attached themselves to the alphabet community, and that's why they're promoting men becoming more feminine. That's why they're doing that. You know what I'm saying? Because they need the men to go to battle. Women can't take their power by force. Men can.
Yeah,
And,
I agree
and
with
if you want to go,
yeah, I agree with that last point straight like that. Which is why when this question asks, do we really live in a patriarchy or are women secretly the more influential gender? I think you're pointing out to the fact that women have to operate in the shadows. We operate covertly. We operate, we can't, women in general do not operate straightforwardly. And because they operate behind the scenes, covertly. That is, to me, exactly why they are more influential. The way women got women's suffrage or the right to vote was because initially we thought married women would align with their husbands. And what did we do? We did the opposite. So arguably speaking, I think we like to say we live in a patriarchy, but we're really living in a patriarchy dressed in like high heels, makeup. We are in a covert matriarchy. I think after the sexual revolution, where women got the opportunity to abort children and get their own bank accounts, that it was the beginning of this covert matriarchy that exists. Look at the male suicide rate. Look at the female suicide rate. Look at the way in which women tote their financial and educational achievements. Even the right to vote. She's in this last clip, we're talking about, how there's so many men who run government. Well, who voted those men into government? If you look at Trump and you look at the exit polls, who voted for Trump? White women. So arguably, to come on these panels or these public spaces and say, oh, the patriarchy still exists, et cetera, and it's this boot over our neck, is very disingenuous, because we are the ones who are operating covertly. We're the ones who put them in power. We're the ones who are obtaining positions of power. We are the ones who are absolutely weaponizing even our sexuality for our benefit. Look at the Diddy case, for example. I don't know. I think patriarchy exists for sure. But in the last like 40, 50, 60 years in the West, no. I think it is something completely different, and we can't call it patriarchy. In my opinion.
Yeah, I think oh my bad. And was you done?
No, yeah, I'm good. Yeah.
Okay. I think patriarchy still runs this country. Let me say this: most women are not built to make those decisions that a man is willing to do, to the extreme a man is willing to go. Most women can't do that. They may start off like it and think and talk like they're going to do it, but when it comes to actually doing it, they not built for it. They not that cutthroat. They don't have the nuts to make that decision, and let alone not only make that decision, be accountable for the decision they made. You know what I'm saying? Like, what's Trump doing now? Some people has a issue with us bombing Iran. They have an issue with it. But Trump's a guy who's willing to accept any consequences with it. If that wouldn't been Kamala, she would have never made that call. She would have found every reason why not to. She would have found every excuse why not to. But he was willing to make that call and deal whatever repercussions is going to come with it. Because that's how a lot of men are built. They're built for that type of stuff. They're willing to accept whatever consequence is going to come, whatever backlash is going to come, and they'll deal with it and keep it moving, whether good, bad, or indifferent. So yeah, I believe that. Now, some women, people say, well, it's right now. Well, yeah, women do have influence. Because like you said, you got some weak-minded man that will fall for just to get a good head rub. Or maybe she throw her ass in his face and he's ready to go and do anything he can for the kid continue to get that ass in his face and to continue to get his hero. You got some men like that. Y'all worry about the alphabet community men? Yeah. They okay with that too, because they endorsed each other. You know what I'm saying? The community endorsed the women, and the women endorsed the community. So yeah, they're gonna get them, but that's still not enough for them to make a major decision, a major move to do what they need to do in order to make it a matriarch type of world. So I'll leave it there.
Damn, you hurt my hair. Let me play a little bit more of this video. Hmm. Okay.
Are women allowed to vote?
Oh, of course they are.
Who's voting that patriarchy and then, out of curiosity?
No, I totally agree. And you want to know why? Because there are so many women who think like you. You submit to the idea of men ruling everything. And your ideology is spread across a lot of women who also falsely believe to vote against their own interests just to complain about it in the end. You know, earlier you said that, women would be much more happier working at home, but don't you agree that it's human nature to want things that you don't have? Mm-hmm. So during the 1950s, which is something that you constantly bring up, it wasn't until 1994 that it was legally illegal to beat your wife. And so what we're dealing with is people wanting something, and then when they get it, they're not happy with it, and then they have to revoke that idea for something else. And so what you're saying is that women vote for these things because they have the same mentality as you.
Okay. So you're acknowledging that women have the freedom to vote.
Yes.
And you're saying that women are still existing mentally, even with the freedom to vote.
Correct.
They are voting men in because we are still victims of...
No, I don't believe in victimhood. I believe in lack of education and lack of knowledge, because one of the things that you also say...
Do you think that it could just be that more men are running for positions of office?
No, not necessarily. Because remember, the United States, the average reading comprehension of people in the United States is 6th grade. So we're not dealing with educated people. Lack of education is the cause for what we see in the world. And if we educate the women better, because a nation can rise no higher than its woman. And if she reading and comprehending at a 6th grade level and popping out a lot of kids, because the brokest people in the world pop out the most kids. So if we have those people voting, of course they're going to vote against their interests, because they're voting for some utopian society that will never exist.
Okay, so that's why you think Kamala lost.
This ain't even about Kamala.
Because you're talking about women. No, but we had an opportunity.
Yeah, go ahead.
We had a male running and we had a female running. And we actually showed that Trump increased the amount of women who voted for him, right? So I'm asking you, do you believe that the reason that happened was because women became less educated during that time?
They've always been less educated. Did you know that UNESCO says that that 2/3 of the 7.7 million illiterate adults is women? Illiterate. And we have 6th grade educated people voting. And guess who? Guess the dominant population is white women. And so guess what? Now you have to add a race element into that, which you already know exists, because we as black folks, we ain't the dominant people voting people in. Okay, so now when we have to go into white supremacy and feminism, now you have to look at the mind of the people who actually have economic success and what they're voting for, because classism actually matters as well. So I'm sorry, but a lot of people vote based on their feelings and not based on policy.
All right, let's go ahead and get into it. Are women voting against their own interests, or do they simply have different values? Are women voting? Go ahead.
Can I go first, JR, real quick? The woman that was speaking, she's a trip, because she's morphing herself into the exact thing that she says is the patriarchy. She's looking more masculine.
She's a lesbian. Sorry to interrupt you, but if you follow Queenmaker's story, she's been on a lot of podcasts essentially telling women about the reality of men, and essentially advocates for women to walk away from men like she did.
Yeah, she's just, everything she said, she contradicted herself. Like, literally, she made not one point, to the point where Candace is like, I don't even know how to even talk to you, because you're arguing your own statement. You just called women stupid. Then you're saying women are superior. I'm like, which one is it? Are they superior or they're dumb? Like, this lady is just super annoying.
Hello.
You know what I'm saying? So To answer your question, JR, are women voting against their own interests? No. Women are voting for the men that they know run the world. And whatever man speaks to what they value, they will vote for it. Because women naturally understand that I don't have the strength or the power to do nothing. I have influence, but there's nothing I can do to really, I have to go find a group of men that believe in what I believe and then convince them to push my agenda. So women are voting based on that. Because even if a woman won, she still has to go. The army is going to be fully men. So even her strength on a military level will be men, which is where a nation is really built on influence in their military. So even if a female president won the election, so what? She got to go grab a bunch of dudes to go fight wars. So it don't really matter. So women just vote based on that. So I think that woman is just silly, and she contradicted herself like 5 times in one freaking situation. She thinks she sounds super smart, but she sounds dumb. And she's literally trying to become a man. It's like
I
crazy.
gotta add to that too, because the thing that was crazy to me is if you listen to the beginning when she jumped in, she literally said she blamed men and she said, "Well, it's because of men because that women's reproductive rights are being taken away." Because she specifically said women wouldn't vote against their own interests. And then now later, as you progress through it, she says, "Well, why are women voting that way? Because there's a bunch of women that think like you." And then she ends up saying, after she says there's a bunch of women that think like you, she then blames it on white women and says that they're uneducated. So essentially, it's like her argument keeps shifting. First, she's blaming men for controlling women through the vote, but then she's saying that it's women who are voting for their own destruction because they're uneducated. But at the same time, she started by saying women wouldn't vote for against their own reproductive rights. So it's so just the fact that she contradicts her own argument, that should tell you that everything she's saying is nonsense.
And on top of it, I think a lot of modern politicians negate the fact that a lot of women are fulfilled by family, or at least they need more support. And voting for the right to abort your child doesn't really align with the average American woman's interests. Maybe she wants more support, more education, more safety in her neighborhood. And a lot of modern politicians do not advocate for that. In fact, they advocate for aborting your children, or they look down on mothers. So them, I think the queen is missing the point that a lot of women are still very much fulfilled by family and motherhood, and there aren't any politicians, or at least feminist politicians, that are like, hey, we're going to give you $1,000 for each kid like Donald Trump did. Right? So again, I think modern women, modern feminists are forgetting what the average American woman actually is truly fulfilled by. And they're not voting against their own interests. They're actually voting in alignment with the politicians that like speak to them. So.
All right. Anybody else want to answer that? Are
I
women
agree.
voting against their own interests? Okay. Got another question for you guys, since I left y'all speakers with that one. Just want to put it right here. If men run the government but women influence the culture, who really has the power?
Exactly. I agree. Women have the power.
Can you
I'm
elaborate
of the
how that
I'm of the
works?
school of thought that we live in a covert matriarchy, and I was saying that in the comments. I'm like, if you
Oh.
look at where the power is actually held in society as far as education, like who educates the children, who raises the children in their formative years. If you look at even the men in power, we know that in this country no man rises to any power as a CEO or government official if he does not have what? A wife. So we always, for since the beginning of time, women have always been the ones that are spending the money. They've always been the ones that are responsible for the distribution of the funds. So the spending power is completely controlled by women. The motivation for most men and why they even earn what they earn is women. Most of what they're spending their money on is
Impress
related to women.
women.
It's to impress women. So it's like a man buys a house to be able to have a woman and kids. A man gets a certain car to be able to have women. So at the end of the day, it's like women are really controlling the things that men are motivated by, and thus controlling women, which is why they always say behind every strong man is a woman. And I mean, and this has been a known thing that women control kings, women collapse kings, women change. Women are responsible for wars by simply whispering a few things in a man's ear. You know, I don't like the way he looked at you. I think he thinks you're a sucker. I don't like the fact that they're building that thing. I think they're disrespecting our nation. All she has to do is, you know, I feel like he disrespected me. And that could be end up with two people. But I'm getting a phone call right now, so I'm gonna land there.
You're cooking.
I think he's a feminist. I think he's I wanted to ask that brother if he's I hate the word feminist because I think it's an oxymoron, but I think he's a feminist.
Why?
Feminist.
Yeah.
I want to hear what he says about that.
What he was saying.
Nah, I'm not a feminist. I'm just saying what I've observed. It's like we love, and because a lot of times women say, "Oh, it's the patriarchy that controls the world," and they blame things on the patriarchy. And it's like, well, what patriarchy? Like, yeah, there are men in position, but just because they're in position doesn't mean that they're the ones with the actual power. It doesn't mean that just because they're making the decisions on behalf of somebody doesn't mean that they're actually the one who's formulating the decision. And a lot of these men that are in positions of power, when they go home, there's a woman whisper in their ear saying, "You need to vote this way. You need to do this. I think you should make this decision. I think that this would be better. You know what? You need to be partner, because if not, I'm leaving you." And you know what that guy does? That guy says, "Well, I'm going to backstab this dude because I need to become partner. This bitch going to leave me and take my kids." So at the end of the day, there's a lot of nuanced things that happen on the back end that people don't realize, that these women are really controlling these men. And I'm not saying I want it to be that way. I'm not saying it's ideal that way. But I'm saying that that's the reality. Is like, I think a lot of men think they hold the power when it's really women that have the power. And I think women know this, which is why women can't be held accountable. Because why can't they be held accountable? Women can't be held accountable because they're the ones in power and they know it. So who's going to hold them accountable? You're not going to hold them accountable because they're going to withhold the pussy. And as soon as they withhold the pussy, guess what? You're going to forget all about the accountability. You know what? I want some coochie right now. Listen, what you did last week, we could forgive it, baby. We could make it work. You know what? I don't want you to leave me and take half my stuff, so we could work it out. You get what I'm saying? And that's the reality that most men are living in, unfortunately. But it is what it is. And
I got a question.
Over the mic.
I got a question. Now, the real power that like Straight Like That was referring to, and people in the chat are referring to, do you think if women wanted that power, they could actually have it?
If they wanted which power?
If they wanted like
absolute power,
like if they wanted, put it this way, if they
I don't think they could have absolute power. I feel like women are like, all right, you see how in Men in Black they had the little aliens? Then the little aliens, they had to live in a little suit. It's like men are like the suit. You get what I'm saying? Like the women are like the little aliens, like they're feeble. They can't really survive. So what they do is they control a suit. They possess a suit. They get a man in a situation. And by controlling the man, they can move through the world more freely, which is why so many women want to be married. And which is why I feel like marriage benefits women more, because I feel like when a woman's able to get a man to marry her, she's able to secure a certain level of protection and a certain level of resources and a certain level of status in the world. And she gets status also from other women, because it's like, oh, you have one. Oh, you were able to secure you a man. Lucky you. It's like a man having a horse. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, you got a horse. Wow. Like, oh, you got a Benz. Like that's how they look at it as a status symbol. Like, wow, you got you a man, huh? Your life must be good because it's easier now. You got you that new appliance. You got you that thing that makes life easier, something that's under your control.
Ow. Jay, real quick before
I don't like it, but it is what it is.
Jay, real quick before you go, because I want you to address it, because I know you have a question. I just want to ask this brother, the trump card to your theory, brother, the trump card, and I want you to address it, is gay men.
Mm.
What?
And I want you to think deep about what I'm saying. The
Are
trump
you
card to your
asking
theory
in the
is gay
equation?
men. Yeah, so I'm
What was the
asking
question?
him if he equated gay men. I'm asking you, have you equated gay men in your equation to the female
Yes.
influence and who really runs the world? So speak to the gay men and then what you think
Well,
women are doing with that.
well, I think the part of why we see so much success of gay men is because it's proof that women are in control. Because what it is to me, it's almost like goddess worship, right? By those men taking a feminine position, they're proving outwardly that they're dedicated to the feminine over the masculine. And so those men are often allowed to rise in society because on some level, it's known that they can be controlled by the feminine objective. So that's really
Yeah,
why.
but
I feel like that
gay
explains it
men are
perfectly.
not gay men are not controlled by feminism. They're not controlled by it. Matter
No,
of fact,
I think they're controlled by
they
the
sit.
feminine objective.
No. So I'm gonna give you what I'm saying to you. I think they're above the feminism because they want to replace the woman because their ultimate desire is to make other straight men like them because that's their ultimate desire. So therefore, they want to
The G is
remove the
after
woman.
the L in LGBTQ. Did you notice that?
Well, I'm asking you to respond to that theory.
Damn.
Well, I'm just
I
saying
want you to
the
respond to what
G
I
comes
just said.
I mean, I think that could be what it is, but that's not what I think it is.
No. Well, what I'm
I think
saying
that
realistically, right? No, you go ahead. I'll let you respond. Go ahead.
I think that a lot of them are either showing their dedication to the feminine or they're mimicking the feminine to gain power. They're
Yeah,
seeing
but they
that, hey,
don't.
the feminine has a certain level of power in society. So if I mimic the feminine, I can gain that same power, the power that a woman has. I think that's
Yeah,
what
which
it all
is
boils down to.
yeah, but the power that they have is just the sexual part, which I agree to. Women's power is their sexuality, right? That's what I said
Part of it,
initially in my
part of
statement.
it,
No,
part of it is
that
that
is their power.
That's
That is
part
their
of it.
power.
Part of it is the power of deception. So, for example, women can go outside looking like someone completely different than what they are, and that power of deception is seduction. That's beyond sexuality. That's the ability to seduce someone's mind. They could not have sex with a person and still
No,
seduce their mind simply with appearance.
yeah,
That's something that women can do. They
yeah,
they can
but that's still
change. They can
sexual.
change
But
form.
that's still
So a man who
but that's
adopts the
still
feminine
sexual.
so listen, a man who adopts the feminine directive can now change form in the same way a woman can.
Right. That's why we have the men that are transformers, right? Now they went from being
Exactly.
gay to wanting to be women, right? So what I'm saying to you is if I'm saying have you equated in your theory? That's all I'm asking you. If you haven't, I'm saying just think about it. Have you equated in your theory that the people that really sit on top of the world are still men? They're just gay because they're not overpowered by a woman's sexual power because they want men. So it's still men
Yeah,
that run the
but
world. They're just gay.
their agenda is still the same as the woman's, which is to dominate the men. So what's the difference? It's
Yeah,
the
but they're
same
still but
agenda.
it's still men. But it's still men in power though, is what I'm
But
saying. It's
essentially
still men in
they're
power.
fighting on the same team. So the fact that
No,
they're
they're
men is
not.
irrelevant. They're
Because the
fighting on the
women are
same team.
No, because women are the competition to
Because what
those
are they
men.
doing? They're still subverting the heterosexual straight masculine man. All of them are doing that. They're subverting his power, whether it be through seduction,
Well,
whether it be through deception. They're still doing it.
okay, well, what my point to you is that it's still men that's in power, and the women that are trying to get into power, they don't have the physical capabilities to overpower a gay man. They don't, because if it really came to war,
I
a
hear
bunch
you.
of gay men could go to war with a bunch of women feminism, and they don't have the strength to overpower gay men. So at the end of the day, even if you're saying the gay men are still operating on a feminism agenda, that's fine. All I'm saying is it's still gay men that run the world.
Period.
You could say that they're running the world, right? And I hear you, but then if we were to trace that back to the roots, like what kind of household are most of these gay men being raised in, right? Where we have to ask what their programming is. And most of them, their programming is feminine. Their programming is a woman's programming. A lot of them are raised in single mother households. So again, these are men who were broken by femininity. They were broken by it and became it or became beneath it, which is why they function like women. So their only reason they're in the
But they're
position
still
to run the
empowered.
world, like you're claiming, the only reason they're in the power that you think they're in is because their will
No,
is
I know
submitted
they're
to the will of the
no, I know
femininity.
they're in that
Their
power.
entire programming, their entire internal is feminine. So of course, women will have no problem allowing them to ascend to power because they're just like them. They think just like them. They know that they will fulfill the agenda of women because mentally they are women. They just look like men on the
Right.
outside. They just have a man's body.
But they're still men, though. Is my point.
Yeah,
They're still men.
there's still men hardware, but the software, the firmware is female.
Yeah, but the reason why they're still men in power is because the females that really want to have the power, they can't physically go in there and take it from the gay men that's trying to be them.
They don't have to. All they have to do is simply influence them. It's the same with men. Women don't have to fight wars. All they have to do is get their husband upset. Tell their husband that somebody disrespected them, and their husband will go kill a whole block for her.
That's not true. I'm not that stupid to do that. Like you're
Maybe
talking about
you're
certain
not.
men.
Maybe you're not, but I guarantee you that
Okay.
more than 50% of the male jail population right now would disagree with you.
Well, if it's 50% and 50% went to war with the other 50%, it's still men. It's still
But what
men
I'm
fighting
saying is
those wars. It's
just
still
because
men.
you're the one going to war doesn't mean that you're the one in control or in power. The person in power is the person who's sitting at home while you kill each other. That's the person in power.
No,
the person who's at
that's not
home
true.
watching television, the person who's at home watching television, eating bonbons and relaxing, getting their nails done while you're slaughtering other men on her behalf, that's the person who's the ruler. Rulers
That's
don't
not
lift
true,
fingers.
brother.
That's why a symbol of rulership for a long time has been a throne. The reason why is
That's
because
not true,
power
brother.
doesn't move. Power doesn't move. This is why in chess the king only moves one space at a time. Power doesn't move. Power causes things to move. So this is why I'm saying women actually hold the power, because women are able to influence the world without actually moving, without
That's
actually
not true,
doing
brother.
things. How is
That's
that
not
not
true.
true?
That's true. Because the reason why women had to even resort to what you're
He's right.
talking about, the reason why women had to use their feminism to do what they had to do, is because they don't have the physical power to do what they had to do. Matter of
Yes,
fact, if you look at
I
any
agree.
war, hold on a second. I heard what you said. I'm just answering your question.
I'm disagreeing with you.
The reason why women had to even, yeah, the reason why women had to resort to that is because most of women were tired of being raped and pillaged and becoming slaves of war. The reason why women were captives, most wars ended with women becoming slave objects, and women were tired of doing that because they're very vulnerable. So they decided to use their sexuality to have some sort of a influence in the economy, which I agreed with you. My position to you is that you're not equating the men that are not desiring of those women. They don't look at women in a physical sense. So therefore, a woman can't influence their behavior.
Well, okay.
They just want power. That's
Well,
just
this
all
is
I'm
where I
saying to
disagree
you.
with
And
you.
human history.
This is where I disagree with you, right? You're saying that they don't desire the woman. Maybe they don't desire the woman sexually, which is why
Not
I
ma-
said,
no, not
well,
maybe,
hear me
brother.
out,
I'm
because this
saying
is why I said,
realistically.
this is why if you remember my
Okay.
earlier position was that their power isn't only sexual. I'm the one who said that it wasn't only power, their power wasn't only sexual. And the reason why is because these men may not desire them sexually, but this does not mean that these men do not desire their approval. This does not mean that these these men don't have a desire to be accepted by them. And you'll find that a lot of gay men have a strong desire to be accepted by women, to be accepted in feminine circles. That's who they put themselves around. That's who they pattern themselves after.
I've never heard that. I've heard gay men having competition with women they don't get along. Matter of fact, and I'll say this. This is my last statement on this topic.
Are you serious?
And I'll say this to you. Yeah, no, I'm being dead serious. And I'll say this, and this is my last.
You got to talk to women about this.
I do. I'm telling you, I used to be a promoter, brother. I've seen what that's like. The men, it's not what you think it is. They're and then even most women find the gay men to be extra with it. Matter of fact, you're seeing that play out now with the Transformers taking over female sports, and the women are starting to say, "Nah, you guys are taking it too far. We did agree with you, but now you're going too far with it, and you're trying to take stuff from us because that's what the
Women
gay
love
men
gays.
really want."
I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what you're talking about. Women
Okay,
love gays.
and that's fine. The point I
Ask
was
in the
going to make to
comments.
you, the last point I was going to make to you, the last point I was going to make to you was this. In terms of what you were speaking about, them actually aligning more with the females, or whatever the case was, because that's their ultimate goal. I think gay men, their whole thing is to fake their alliance to the female, to learn their mannerisms, to learn how they do operate, to learn that they can have both physical. Because I think that's their ultimate goal, is to have the seduction side of a feminine woman, but to still possess the power of a man. So they live in a unique position. And all I'm saying to you is, if you believe that they're in alliance, that's fine. At some point, one of those two people, the feminism or the gay guys, are gonna fight for absolute power. My money, if I was a betting man, would go with the gay men because they have the physical capability to take power.
I mean, I hear where you're coming from, and I see what you're saying. But listen, man. Again, women have, like you said, because women were physically weaker, they have got this mind game down to a science. Like they've literally worked on this for millennia, for generations. They've been passing this down to their daughters. They have this mind game down to a science. And like I
No,
said,
but I just told you.
even
I just told you. What if the gay
hold
men
on,
learned
hold
that?
on. Like I said, even for the gay movement, it's called LGBTQ. The L is at the front. But listen, hold on. Just hit me. The L is at the front. So that should automatically tell you who's in control and who's running it. Like you might think the
No, but
gay dudes are in power, but the L is at the front of
no, no.
LGBTQ.
But I just asked you, can you consider that maybe the gay guys are trying to learn that side of it from the females? Like they're trying to learn what they know, like their power. I'm
Sure, but
saying,
if
what if
they
the gay
are, then
men?
that means
Yeah.
I would agree with you that they're trying to learn. But even them trying to learn would mean that they're patterning themselves after women, which mean women are leading them. So even
No,
still, that
because
wouldn't refute my position. That
no, it
would
doesn't.
strengthen my
No,
position because it means that gay men are being led by women.
no, it doesn't. It doesn't refute your position right away, and I agree with you. What I'm saying to you is, can you consider if they learned the female way and they owned it, but now they're both sitting on the same level, and you just spoke to it that somebody has to sit at the top. I'm saying at
The
some
gays won't
point,
win. You know
someone's
why the gays won't win?
some
Because
because they're stronger.
because straight men will defend women. So gay men will not win. Gay men can't win because straight men will defend them. Straight men will die for women. So because straight men will die for women, all the gay men on the planet will be wiped off the planet before straight men allow gay men to overtake women.
I agree with that. I agree that.
Okay, so fine. I might agree with that, but at the end of the day,
So
who
women are
is
still
more
in control
powerful
in
in
the
that
end
situation?
because
No, they're not. They're not,
yes,
because life and
listen,
death didn't come from the woman.
listen, if there was one straight man left on the planet, if there was one straight man left on the planet, right? One straight man, one masculine straight man, and there was like 10 gay men and 10 women left, and one woman left. And that one woman got in that nigga there and said, listen, you kill them gay niggas, I'll give you some pussy. Guarantee that nigga find a way to kill at least 2 of them. He might not kill all 10 of them. That nigga gonna kill somebody. All she got to do
Yeah,
is
but your position.
let him imagine that he gonna get a whiff of it. That nigga will devise and build machines. That nigga will create new weapons. That nigga could create a suit of armor, and he will run to where the gays is living at, and he will wage war for a chance to get some of that cat. And that, to me, that is
Yeah,
the
but
strongest
you're
force of nature. A man trying to get some kitty is the
yeah.
strongest force of nature.
No. The form is strong. The strongest form of nature is a man that's not willing to do anything based on pussy. You're exiting men
Oh
that
yeah,
don't have that weakness.
oh yeah. Put him in front of a
No,
nigga that's willing to do anything for some pussy and see who come out alive.
no. So it doesn't matter. You're exiting. My question to you is that: do you think all men would fall to the power of pussy?
It's not about falling to the power.
I'm asking. Well, that's what it would be. You're saying a woman can influence a man. Your exact example was a man saying that he really wanted to smash this woman. He'll go over a mountain and slay a bunch of gay dudes.
Okay,
I'm asking you.
So yes,
do you think?
I believe that history has shown. Yes, I'm going to answer your question. I believe that history has shown that it requires a significant amount of spiritual strength for a man to resist a woman's wiles. Even the wisest man biblically, hold on, even the wisest man in history,
You're not answering my question.
I'm answering your question. Solomon was considered biblically the wisest man of all time. And what was that man's downfall? Some coochie.
Women.
And he was the wisest. He was the wisest of all. That he prayed to God for wisdom, and that's what he gave him, wisdom among all men. And even that man, the wisest, still fell to some coochie. Almost every king in history, as wise and strong as they are, they fall to a woman. So I'm sure the strongest of men falls. Solomon, what killed Solomon? Solomon got his head cut off.
Is Solomon more wiser than Christ?
Solomon is not more wise than Christ, no. But again, I literally already said extreme amount of spiritual strength.
Okay, but
you're talking about God in the flesh now.
No. I'm asking you a question because Christ was a man. Did Christ fall to women? Did David fall to a woman? Did Peter?
David fell to a woman. We mean David. David had other men. David had people killed to take their wives. What you mean?
Bathsheba. Yeah, but I'm saying, did he fall? Did he fall completely to a woman? Did he repent from his sins and became smarter? Yes.
He wouldn't have had no sin to repent from if it wasn't for the woman.
No, but that's not the question, brother. You're saying that every man will act based on your premise. I'm saying there's some men that will not be slave to pum pum. Some
which
men will
one besides Jesus? Mayo, which one you talking about besides Jesus?
Peter, Abraham, Jacob, David, all the prophets. Every prophet that
the Bible
ever came
doesn't
into
expressly
existence,
talk about the lives of those disciples, it's not guaranteed proof that they've never had no women in their life.
All right. Okay, so then now you're going to do that because you're using one example of one man falling, but then I'm giving you other examples that never happened. Now you're saying we don't know the full story. We don't know the full story of who the guy that you just brought up. I'm just saying you have to equate in your argument that not every man would fall to that.
All right, can you give an example? Hold on. Can you give an example, right? I want you to give an example of a man that was known for being associated with women at all. Because all of the men that you gave an example of, we don't know of any of the interactions any of them have. We don't know the interactions that any of those men had with women. You're talking about Peter and Paul. The Bible doesn't talk about them interacting with women at all. So it's like let's use examples of men that have been around women documented. And which one of those men didn't fall to some pom pom?
Brother, it's in the scriptures. There's Joseph, there's Abraham, there's Peter,
the Joseph that had multiple children with Mary after.
Not that Joseph. The one that was in Egypt
with a pregnant woman.
No, the one that's in Egypt. The one that was in the famine, that he didn't fall to Potiphar's wife and he ran away from her because she was trying to tempt him. He went to jail. He denied pum pum. There's a bunch of men in the Bible that denied a woman's advances, brother. All I'm saying to you is, this is what I'm saying to you. Yes, he was a governor. He was right below the king. He was more powerful than Pharaoh. He was right below Pharaoh. He was the interpreter of dreams. And David was a king.
Yeah, he worked for a nigga. He was right under a nigga. You talking about a nigga that was under a nigga.
David was a king. How many women did Pharaoh have? Fall for pom pom. David did not fall for. I'm using David.
Of course, the nigga that was under a nigga had one woman.
David didn't fall for everybody.
King David? We talking about the same King David?
Same King David, yes. He did not.
How many wives did King David have, my brother? How many king?
A lot.
He killed you. He sent Uriah to go die so that he could step up and wife.
But he repented. He repented from that.
So what? He still did it. He still fell. His lust still overturned him.
He didn't fall. He didn't fall. His kingdom was still intact. The Most High found grace with him, and that's why his son Solomon was able to take reign. It's because his kingdom didn't fall from a woman. He repented.
And then
But
he
that,
told
no,
his
no,
son,
he fell
don't make
for
the
women.
same mistake I
I didn't say
made.
his kingdom fell for women. I say he fell
Okay,
for
so
women.
then,
His
okay,
lust led him to send an innocent man to go die so that he could take
that doesn't,
another
yeah,
man's
but that
wife,
doesn't mean but that
which is
doesn't
a
mean a
violation of
woman.
the law.
Yes,
So
it
he
was,
broke
but I'm
God's
saying,
law. But he broke God's
okay,
law. A man who was
God's
supposed to be
law,
righteous and a king, a man who's supposed to know God's law better than anybody, even he was willing to break God's law for some pum pum.
right? And then he repented, which is what I'm
Of
saying to
course,
you that you have to use in
but
your
that's a moot
equation
point.
is
That's
that
a
a
moot
man
point.
can learn.
That's a moot
No, it's
point.
not.
Repentance is
It's
a
a
moot
part of
point
the
because that's
equation. It's
after
a
the
part of the
fact.
equation.
That's like me saying
It
I
does,
murdered somebody, but I repented and I went to jail and I'm still a murderer.
it doesn't matter. But then if you come outside of jail and you change your life, you become a better citizen.
I'm still a
It
murderer
means
if I
something.
become I'm just a better person that's still a murderer.
Yeah, but the
I'm still a murderer.
consequences of your
I'm
murder.
still
Okay, all right. You're not going to move
if
forward.
a man
So
rape
what
a
I'm
woman, if a man rape a woman one time and then he
it's
don't do it
okay.
again, what is he?
He's repented.
He's
It
a
means his
rapist.
sins are forgiven.
He's a
No, his sins are forgiven. No,
It means
that's fine. But
he's
he's
a
forgiven.
recovered rapist. That means if
He's
it means he's a recovered murderer. That means he's a recovered
and
what he is. Rapist.
okay. So
It's
what?
what he is.
Okay, okay. So
Grapist.
let me ask you
Sorry,
a
internet.
question.
I'm sorry, YouTube. My bad. Grape.
All right,
Sorry.
but if he's repented, let me ask you a question. If he's repented, does that mean he has the same outcome if he was still raping?
I think that repentance may change his heart, but that does not change his history.
No, I'm saying does that mean he has a different outcome now that he's changed his life? Would he have
That's
a
up to
different
God.
outcome?
That's not up to me to decide. Some people repent and still
No,
stay
I'm
and die in
asking the
jail.
person. No. See, you're not answering the question. If a
I am.
guy
Some people
did
repent and
something
die in
wrong,
jail. Some
and
people
then
repent and
okay,
go on to become millionaires and change their life.
that's what I'm asking you. That's not what I'm asking you, brother. I'm saying if you repent, listen to what I'm asking you. If you repent and you change your behavior, would that change your outcome?
That depends
If
on
you
what God decides to do, my brother.
rather than you still sinning, if I stop stealing and I said I'm not going to steal anymore and I really keep that, would that change my outcome if I kept stealing?
Not
Would
necessarily.
I have
Not
two different
necessarily.
outcomes?
Not
All right.
necessarily. And I can give you a perfect example of this. A perfect example of this is there are plenty of people who have a young life as gangbangers, right? They go to jail, they change their life, they get out of jail, they start jobs, they change their life. They feel like I've changed my life, I put down my flag, I'm no longer a gangbanger. Couple years out of jail, somebody catches them slipping and kills them. Why? Because even though they feel like they've repented and changed their life, the deeds that you do still follow you. You were banging once, you're banging forever, whether you like it or not, because somebody's going to remember that you banged on them. Somebody's going to remember you walking around with that flag on. Somebody's going to remember you twisting up your fingers, and somebody's going to know what them tattoos mean. And guess what? As much as you want to escape it because you feel like I'm changing my life now, it doesn't mean anything. It's the same argument we give to women on King Talk. Like, you can't just be a hoe your whole life and then feel like somebody's going to marry me and treat me with a certain level of respect just because, oh, I've repented and I've changed and I go to church now. No, you still got to deal with the consequences of what you've done. You still did that. If I kill somebody, I still did that. And I got to deal with how people look at me. I got to deal with the record. I got to deal with all that. I got to deal with the bad dreams. I got to deal with the weight on my conscience because I made that action. And no amount of repentance is going to wash that blood off my hands. I'm still who I am. Now, repentance can change my heart and make me a better person who won't do that. And maybe God will forgive me. But that doesn't change what I did. History doesn't change.
I know it doesn't change what you did, but it does change your salvation. It does change something, right? Like you don't have the same outcome.
To God, yeah, but we talking about people here. People don't got to forgive me for nothing.
I'm saying people. Like, okay, so to your example with the guy that gangbanged and then came home and he still has a reputation, he died. What I'm saying to you is, if he didn't repent, we don't know, but it could be that he would have died earlier, right? The fact that he repented and he came out of jail and he tried to do the right thing, we have to respect that. And we can't tell people that repentance doesn't reward something. It rewards something. Even if you made a really bad sin and you feel like you're not redeemed, we can't tell people that no matter what they did, there's no way for them to have a different outcome. We can't preach that type of a statement.
because people are
I hear
coming
you.
from really dark situations. You see what I'm saying? So what I'm saying to you
Listen,
is,
I hear you.
even if a guy was a gangbanger and he did certain things, if he came out, he's like, I'm gonna change my life, but he did so much crime and he built a reputation that he still end up dying. To me, his outcome still changed because he died with a pure heart rather than somebody still stuck in their sin.
Listen,
So it's not
listen,
the
brother.
same.
I agree with redemption. Okay, so you have no argument from me there, right? But this is not what we're talking about. We're talking about, you said that these men did not fall at all to pum pum, and now you're trying to excuse their fall, but because they repented. And all I'm
I
saying
never
is,
excused it.
I'm just
I
saying
gave
they
you
wouldn't
many
have had anything
examples.
to repent. They wouldn't have had anything to repent if they didn't fall to begin with. I'm just saying, even the
No,
greatest of men in the
I gave
Bible,
you many
men,
other
listen,
examples. I gave you many other
King David
examples.
was, the Bible literally says King David was a man after God's own heart. So literally, you're talking about a
He was
man who has a heart
righteous.
like God, and even him, he sent a man to die, breaking God's law to get some pum pum. So what I'm
Yeah,
saying
but
is, sure, there are some men with extreme spiritual strength,
he was
but
still in.
most men
That woman
fall to
still wasn't
one woman
empowered. That still
or
wasn't
another.
empowered. Yo, that woman still
Most
wasn't
men will
empowered,
fall
brother.
to
Was
one
Bathsheba
woman
empowered?
or another.
What role did Bathsheba do? What fight did she fight? What war did she
David
go
was
do?
in power. David was in power, and he sent Uriah to go
All
get
right,
killed
thank you.
in the
All
front
right,
lines
thank
of
you.
war
All
so
right,
that he could have his woman.
Did Bathsheba do it?
Bathsheba was it? Sure, she did. All she had to do was look at him and look at what he did. She clearly was the
She
one in
didn't do
power in
it.
that
David did it
situation.
of his own will. She didn't
He
do it.
exactly
No,
meaning
she didn't do it.
if David would do that for her, if David would do that for her of his own will without her even giving him no go ahead, imagine what he would have did if she asked. Imagine what she would have did if he asked.
Yeah, but
Imagine
it's
if she came
still
to
his
him and
decision.
said, David, I
But
want
is it?
you. I hate my husband. Kill that nigga. Imagine. He would have did that in a
Now you're
heartbeat.
talking about
He
if
would
she would.
have wiped out
Yeah,
an
but now you're
entire
saying
nation
if.
for that.
We don't know that. We don't know that. Yeah, but we
I'm
don't
just
know
saying
that, brother.
imagine.
You're
I'm just
saying
saying
if
imagine.
now. So
You were saying
no,
if.
I'm
You're
not gonna
saying ifs
imagine. I'm
with
gonna go by what
repentance.
it. I'm not gonna.
You were doing ifs with repentance.
I'm not
Oh,
saying
if
if
somebody
repentance is
repent,
a real.
or
No,
should they be forgiven and be redeemed? But now I'm giving this if and it's not don't work.
no, it doesn't
Your
because what I'm
situation
giving
was
you is
just as
factual
hypothetical as
context.
mine.
I'm saying David did repent. I'm saying David did repent. I'm saying David did repent. That's in the
But that's
scriptures,
between him and
and he was
God.
blessed because of that. No, but
That's
he was
great.
blessed because of that. And then because he was blessed, he was able to give the kingdom to his
So
son
basically, what
Solomon.
you're saying
And he
is men
told
should fall to
Solomon,
pum pum and then repent, and then they'll be blessed. Great. So that's more reason why men should just go get some pum pum then, right?
I'm saying if you do fall to it, if you
Just
do fall
repent
to
and
it,
you're
you can
good. You're gonna
repent
get
and
blessed
change your
anyway.
ways. That's what I'm saying. If
Just
you're truly
repent. Go get as much
repentant,
pum pum as
yes.
you want. Go repent. It don't matter. You're good. You're gonna
True.
get blessed.
I never said that. I never said that. Now you're adding stuff. I never said that. I never said that.
All right, man. Y'all
I was gonna say, if that's the case, it's like, are y'all men really just submitting to us? We're not even submitted to you, and then
No, he's saying
That's
that.
not what
That
I'm
brother's
saying.
saying that. Don't include me into what he's saying. No pum pum controls me. Pum pum controls him and the men that he know, not me.
Do you have children? Do you have children? Because if you have children, pum pum controls you.
well, you viewed it straight like.
I'm not gonna answer him. That's a stupid ass question.
Exactly, because it refutes your whole point right there. If you have kids,
No, it doesn't. No, it
pum pum
doesn't.
controls you.
No, it doesn't.
A woman has your seed. A woman owns your legacy, is in control of your legacy. Your future, your genetic
Yeah, but
future
I
is.
gave her that. That's my choice. I chose to put
No, it
seed
was
in
her
my womb.
choice. She
That's
could have
my
killed it at any
choice.
time. She's the one who allowed it to live, not you.
No. I'm addressing your first statement. She can have seed to kill if I don't put it in her.
Sure, but she could kill it, and she could take it away from you at any time.
Yeah, it doesn't matter, brother. I chose to put it in there. So that means I chose that. That means I have the power.
You chose to put it in there, or she
won't
made you
have
horny?
no seed.
You chose to put it in there, or she
No,
made you
I
horny?
chose it.
Okay.
Brother, I chose it. I chose it. Because if that was the case, I would
Or
have a
you
bunch of
saw
women
her and her
pregnant.
looks enticed you and turned you on, and so you responded to the stimulus that she gave you.
Sure.
Like
And
all
I
men.
turned her on, got her wet, and then she opened her legs and invited me in willingly. That means I control it.
If you think so.
What about
Listen.
No, I know
Women lay down with a lot of
I
men they
know
don't
so.
like. Just because she laid down with you don't mean nothing.
Yeah,
That don't mean nothing.
you're one of them.
That's just how
You're one
you
of
feel
them.
that
You're
way.
one of
You
them.
feel that way.
You're one of them.
You feel that
You're
way.
one of those dudes.
I'm
You're
not one of those
dudes.
Yeah.
You would imagine
Because
I'm one of those dudes,
based
but I'm
on
not
your
one of those
statement,
dudes.
no woman wanted to sleep with you. They forced you to sleep with them. Based on what you just said, every woman you slept with,
That's not what I said. I don't think you're processing the information correctly. And I notice you're making personal attacks. You seem upset. You shouldn't be so emotional. We're just having a conversation here.
Whatever.
Yeah, don't be so mad.
Whatever.
Don't be so mad. This is an attack on you personally. I don't get why you feel the need to attack me personally. It's not very
Because you
becoming of
sound
a
stupid.
manly man like you that gets all the women.
Yeah, that's fine. You
That's
don't get
something
no
that's
woman
more
based on
becoming
your
of a man
logic.
like me that women don't want.
Well, based on what you said, brother. You said
Yeah. No,
you
I'm
said
agreeing
that
with
you
you,
don't
right?
have no influence.
I should be the one acting the way you're acting right now, based off of what you're saying. But I guarantee if we were to poll the women in the comments right now, who would they rather have, me or you? I don't think you would even come close. You
Of course, a woman would say.
Who wants to run that
a woman
poll?
would say you. Of course, a woman would say you, brother, because you're a woman. You're a feminist.
Nothing feminine about me, brother. I just think you're upset right now. I think you're upset because I intellectually have been smacking you in your head in front of everybody right now. I mean, the comments see it, everybody sees it, and you're feeling a little uncomfortable. And I get it. I mean, embarrassment is a strong feeling. You know, you're feeling a little hurt right now. So now you want to try to attack my masculinity because yours is feeling small, and that's okay. I'm not mad at you for that.
I mean,
yeah, the same guy
barring the end of the conversation, man. Y'all had
the same guy that's yelling at me over the phone with no voice.
Y'all had
yelling at you. I'm not me. I'm yelling. Brother, I'm sitting in my backyard in front of a fire. I'm in my backyard sipping Don Julio right now, brother. I'm not upset at anything right now.
All right, whatever. What woman's controlling you?
No woman controlling me. I'm single and I don't have no kids. I do what I want.
All right. You sound like a loser, bro.
You look like a loser. So, hey, listen, you look like one, I sound like one. Guess we both losers.
Nah, nigga, you just a loser. Straight.
Bro, what do you talk about? Look, I mean, you got a medium Walmart tee on. Your hairline is cooked. You didn't brush your hair since morning time. What are you talking about? You got a makeshift shelf holding your Walmart projector up. Like, what are you talking about, bro?
All right, bro. It's on you, JR, man.
It's on.
That just feels discouraging. Like
we took a good conversation. We took a good debate. And just, you know what I mean, last 4 minutes.
I didn't start with the disrespect. You see how it always is? I come with the points, and then they start getting in their feels and then their emotions, and then
you
I
got no points, bro. You just said that women run men. You're a loser.
Just because that makes you emotional doesn't mean it's not true. And just because it makes you feel a way doesn't mean it's not true. You're just emotional.
Bro. Me and my crooked hairline feel like you're a loser. You have no kids. You're not married.
You're in your backyard drinking
Don Julio.
Of course you feel like I'm a loser.
You look like you're almost 50. You're a loser.
I don't look almost 50. You know you're lying, brother. You know you're lying. I don't look like I'm almost 50 at all.
Me and my crooked hairline
think
you're a loser. You're a loser, bro. You are a loser. You have no kids because you're a loser.
You can keep repeating it. That doesn't make it true. All you're doing is expressing your emotions
why don't you have kids? Why don't you have kids?
I don't have kids because one, I can answer that question. One, I don't have kids because I don't want kids. Number two, I don't want to be in a position. I don't want to be in a position where a woman can control me, like how a woman can control you. Which is why you're so sensitive and emotional right now,
bro.
And the funny thing is, the irony is the same men. The irony is the same men.
How did you get here? How did you get here?
No, hold on. Hear this out. The same men you talk about the Bible. The same men you talk about, just like Paul in the Bible, right? Paul literally says, "Better to stay single as I do." So literally, you're claiming I'm a loser for doing exactly what one of the men you reference as one of these great men that didn't fall.
Paul's advice.
Exactly.
That was Paul's advice. He never said the
literal, the literal man you're saying is the one who didn't fall to pum pum. That was his advice, to stay single.
Yeah, but that's not the Most High. The Most High
Checkmate.
says, "Be fruitful and multiply." That's a commandment. Be fruitful
Cloud is
and
37
multiply.
years old. Like,
That is
well, I don't know in the chat. I'm 37.
Let me ask you a question. What did the Most High say to Adam? Didn't he say, "Be fruitful and multiply"?
Sure.
How'd you get here? How'd you get here?
How many kids did Jesus
No,
have?
one
Didn't
second.
you reference Jesus?
No. How'd you get here?
Didn't you reference Jesus? How many kids did Jesus have? Since you want to reference Jesus as a man who didn't fold the
Jesus' mission wasn't to come here and birth children. His job
who
was to
said my
die for
mission
our
was to
sins.
come here and birth children? You know my mission?
The Most High told you that. He says,
The
"Be
Most
fruitful
High
and
told you
multiply."
my mission? The Most High told you straight like that?
He told men to be
The
fruitful and
Most High
multiply.
came to straight
How'd
like
you
that
get
in a
here?
dream and told him the vision for Cloud Jones?
Not a commandment.
How'd you get here?
It don't matter. You know how I got
How
here.
did
I got
you
here
get
because my
here?
parents had sex, obviously.
All right, cool.
What does that mean? Does that mean that my purpose here is to reproduce? Not necessarily. Did God tell you that?
That's
No.
That's your first commandment. He told
That's
you
your
that.
opinion.
He says your job is to be
That's not the first commandment. The first commandment is to not have any other gods before me. I don't know what commandments you be reading.
The first commandment he gave any man was to be fruitful and multiply.
No, that was the first thing
That's
he
the first
said to Adam. That's the first thing he said
That's
to
the
one
first
man,
commandment.
Adam.
That's the
That
first
wasn't a
commandment before
That's
sin,
what he
brother.
said to Adam. Adam was the only man around, and he said to Adam, "Be fruitful and multiply."
You don't read your Bible.
I do read my Bible, which is why I know he said it to Adam in the garden and not to the rest of mankind.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, you're saying okay because you know you're wrong. You don't have a response.
No, I'm not wrong because Adam is why we're here.
No, you are. It's okay. It's okay.
Is Adam why we're here? Is Adam why we're here?
I don't understand the question. Is Adam why we're here?
Of course you don't. Is Adam
what
why we're here?
Is Adam why we're here? In what sense?
Adam's the
first man. What are you even talking about, bro? I don't even get what point you're trying to make.
Hold on, y'all. We got a phone call. Go ahead, caller.
This guy's an idiot.
You're so upset. Why are you so emotional?
Hold on. Caller, you there?
Maybe you should get some Don Julio and be a loser like me.
Hold on, I'm trying to see.
You wouldn't be so mad.
Clout, trying to see.
I'm good, bro. I got 2 kids. I'm good.
Hey, caller, you there?
Yeah, you got your baby moms must be stressing you. You upset.
Can y'all hear me?
I don't have.
Huh? No, I'm trying to. I can't hear because they keep.
See, this is why I don't have a baby mom because I'd be stressed like this guy.
He trying to take a call. Hold on, what's up?
Hey, caller, you there?
Hello?
Hold on. All right, caller, you there? Caller? Hold on 1 second. Let me see if I can get it.
Good, Dory.
It's making me sad because I actually advocate for men to lead, and it sounds like they're the ones submitting to women, and then they're just serving women, and it's like it just feels like it don't feel right. I don't like that y'all have to go kill yourselves for me like that. Like I don't like that thought. Like it feels wrong to me for some reason. Like it just.
I mean, not every.
Listen, that's why the red pill exists, because men are like, yo, we tired of dying out here. Like they this is the fatigue from so many men feeling like slaves. I mean, even Esther Vilar wrote about this in her book, The Manipulated Man. Like her entire book, the premise of the book is saying that men don't realize that a lot of men don't realize that they're slaves to women, and that's really why they experience a lot of the problems that they experience through life, is because they don't realize that they're enslaved. Their entire motivation and reason for living is around what women want, but they think they're living independently.
This guy's such a loser. This guy's the worst.
You're so upset. Why are you so emotional? Control your feelings.
You're
Lord have mercy, my guy. You're so your shirt might be on a little too tight, brother.
Bro, I've never met a guy that just sounds stupid. Like you sound dumb. Like everything that you said, like I asked you a question and then you're like, what is that?
If I sound dumb, use some real logic to destroy my points, but you've been unable to demonstrate any logic that could defeat my points. And that's why you're so upset right now. You're just angry because you're losing the argument, and it's obvious to everyone.
No,
And
it's
it's like,
not.
bro, just
Okay,
come with a good point. Just
All right, so I
demonstrate your
ask you,
point. Stop trying to
okay,
insult
I
me,
ask
right?
you,
And demonstrate why
okay,
you feel it's a patriarchy
I'll
instead of
ask you,
insulting
I'll
me
ask,
for demonstrating that I believe it's a covert matriarchy. That's all you have to do is demonstrate your point.
okay,
But you're being
I
emotional.
already did that. So I'm gonna ask you a question.
Obviously not effectively.
Well, you gonna let me ask my question?
Absolutely.
All right. Adam was the first man, right?
Mhm.
I'm asking, yes. Do we agree?
Yeah, Adam was the first man. I agree with your premise.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And if Adam didn't have kids, would we be here?
Logically, no. If Adam didn't have kids, we would not be here.
All right. So therefore, when the Most High kicked Adam out the garden after they sinned, he says, I give you a commandment. Be fruitful and multiply and subdue the earth. Do you agree with that?
Yes,
Is
I
that what the
agree that
scriptures say?
I agree that the Most High told Adam specifically that he should subdue the earth and be fruitful and multiply. Yes, the Most High said that to Adam, the first man, the only man that was in existence at the time. Yes, you're correct.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So then,
He ain't said it to
without
Jesus,
Adam
though.
doing that, without Adam, it was not necessary. Without Adam doing that commandment, would you be here?
I guess no.
Okay. All right. And that's the point I was trying to make. The point I'm trying
You're trying to make the point that
hold on, let me finish,
people come from
brother. You're
sex.
asking me to make a logical point, right? So I'm trying to give it to you. So the logical point I'm trying to make to you is why men are always in control is because men are the seed of life. Without
Okay.
a man
Can I ask you a
producing life,
question?
it won't be there. Now,
Can I ask you a question?
1 second. I have one more statement. Yes, let me just finish one more thing and I'll give it to you. It's
All right,
really
cool.
brief. It's not long. I agree that women have influence, but the reason why women influence the men is because they know men hold the power. If women truly had the power, they would just take it rather than trying to influence. Men don't have to influence anything. All we do is go and dominate and conquer. So I agree with you that women have the influence, but they're only influencing the entity that truly holds the power, which is why they do what they do. Because if women truly had the power, they wouldn't care about doing no influence. They'll just take it by force. And you can see this example in the animal kingdom. Go ahead. I'll let you go.
There's different forms of power. So I think that you're like conflating raw power to be the only type of power. So you're saying because women don't have raw power.
Sorry,
Hold on,
power is the
let me
absolute
finish.
power.
I'll let you finish. What I'm saying is that
raw power. I want you to address this. Raw power is the absolute power. This is what I'm saying.
In your
I'm not
opinion,
saying that there's not different.
In your opinion,
no,
raw power is the absolute
I just
power.
want you to. Yeah, but I want you to tell. I want you to say my opinion fully.
Let me get back to the question I was going to ask you, because I did want to ask this question because you brought up Adam and Eve, and I want to stay on the Adam and Eve topic, right? Adam and Eve got kicked out of the garden. Why? Why did Adam get kicked out of the garden? Can you answer that?
Because yes, I can. Oh, because Eve deceived him.
Yes. So, and even when God asked him, right, God said, well, why? Why did you do this? He said, well, the woman you gave me, meaning even Adam himself, the first man who set the precedent for all mankind, the one who's responsible for creating all of us, just like you said, even that man, he admitted to God that it was the woman that deceived him, meaning if she was able to deceive him, then who was the one with the power? Because mind you, Adam was born first. Adam was hold on, hear me out. Adam was born first. So how was he, who was born first and given the instruction first, able to be deceived by this creature that was made from his rib that had no aforementioned knowledge of the universe? He was granted all the knowledge of earth by God. He was responsible for naming all of the animals, but yet he was able to be deceived by a rib. So that corroborates my position that women have a covert matriarchy. Clearly, the fall of mankind happened because a man submitted to a woman. A man was deceived by a woman. A man took advice from a woman. She offered him the fruit and he took it. And this is the first example set by man, which is what man was punished for. And yet you're still here trying to argue the opposite when our entire human condition is a result of the fact that a man submitted to a woman. My point is proven by
All right,
nature,
so
proven by the first
no, it's
man,
not.
proven by the
It's
Bible.
not, brother.
Okay,
You
if I
you
may,
no,
can you guys hear me? Wait, wait, wait. Can you guys hear me?
you literally
All right,
contradicted
hold
yourself,
on,
but
hold
I'll
on.
let her speak. You know.
Thank you. So if I may, so this is the thing. You guys are going back and forth on the power of men and men this and what man is stronger or what man isn't stronger. The fact of the matter is, a man's strength is a man's strength. Even a gay man, he still carries a man's strength. And if he chose to, he could overpower a woman. If he chose to. It is inevitable. We are biologically made different. A woman is made as a weaker vessel. Now, I'm not negating the fact that what Clout is saying has some validity. There are a lot of men through history that have succumbed to the desires that are not as disciplined, that have succumbed to the desires of the woman's sexuality. That's the perks of being a woman, is our femininity and our sexuality. Now, women weaponize that to take advantage of men to get what they want. That's why strip clubs are invented. It is what it is. Is it unfortunate? Yes, but it is what it is. But we cannot negate the fact that even biologically, a man is a man. You guys are arguing back and forth on which man will succumb to a woman. Both of them will overpower us if they wanted to. Women are a weaker vessel, and it's not a bad thing. It's the way we were created to be that way. But you guys keep going back and forth on which man will fall, which man won't fall, and which man will overpower, which man won't overpower. Both of those men will overpower a woman if they choose to. Biologically, it is inevitable. Now, one can be
Hey,
manipulated
hey,
and one cannot.
Naomi, me and you agree,
One can
by
be
the way.
manipulated.
Me and you
One can be
agree.
manipulated. Hold on, please do not interrupt me. I've been listening to you guys go back and forth for like 30 minutes. One can be manipulated by Poom Poom and the other cannot to a certain degree. Now that makes one, maybe that makes one lesser than the other. Although if we just take a look at even the way we're biologically made, you guys are also bringing in faith into this. And I do not like the picture that you guys are painting of religion, to be completely honest, but it is what it is. I'll land and leave that there. But the fact of the matter is that a man will overpower a woman should he choose to. And I have seen multiple gay men knock the shit out of a woman because he has a man's strength.
But he's not going to choose to because he was raised and
But
programmed.
no, sir.
They already
No,
do it.
sir.
They already do it, Jones.
That
They already
they,
done it.
they do it
This
all of
guy,
the
man.
time. All it takes
This guy's
because
a
gay men
loser.
tend to
Like
be
he's really a
because
loser.
gay men hold on. Because gay men tend to be emotional like women, that emotional response paired with the physical man strength will knock the shit out of a woman. It is what it is. It happens all of the time. It's not that if they choose to, just like a woman can become unhinged because we become emotional or whatever. And we, not saying all women, but women like they slash tires and break windows. A gay man will do that with a man's strength. They're just better at it.
Yeah, but the physical
No,
power,
no,
I mean,
no,
you
no, no,
guys
no, no.
think
Physical
physical
power has more validity.
is
Physical power has more validity
Exactly.
because
It's the ultimate.
just as just
listen,
as that they have the same
This guy's
emotional
a loser.
reaction as women. They have the same emotional reaction as
This
women,
guy's a
if
loser.
not more intense.
what the president does.
Especially no,
This guy's a loser.
especially if
Here,
he is on, especially if that man is on hormones and things like that, it will add to that emotional response.
physical power is the
Naomi, by
here.
the way, Naomi, by the way, Naomi, me and you agree. I don't disagree with you. This is the point I was trying to make to Jones,
You
and
guys
he
are
disagreed with me
you
because
guys are
I was telling him
strength.
the ultimate power is a man's physical strength. Because when it comes down to war and when it comes down to exuding your dominance, he brought up Mother Nature. That's what we know the animal kingdom to be. That's why we call lions the king of the jungle, is because they can physically take their dominance when there is a need to fight.
Power is
At the end of the
mental.
day, I'm not disagreeing with him. I am not disagreeing with him that women do play a part and their power is their sexuality and that they do have some influence on men. I agree with him on that. I never disagreed. I said some men do not fall to that. I know for sure JR in his position, although he can be a weak man or any man, I'm not even going to use JR for any example. Not any woman that can just offer JR pum pum and say, "Hey, I'm going to take over your podcast." JR will be like, "You crazy? I run this." But JR, I'm really sexy and I'll give you some pum pum. Like, I don't care about that. I got real women that will sleep with me just based off the merit of who I am as a man and my character. And what I was trying to explain to Jones was he's not equating that in his conversation when it comes down to when the rubber meets the road. And gay men are in competition with straight women or bisexual women or lesbian women, you know.
Men, I equated for that by saying that straight men will always come to the defense of straight women. So you're saying that gay men can overpower straight men.
Not in mass. Oh my God, not in mass. I would not go to war for no woman. I would not go to war for no woman.
Actually, both of you guys are actually speaking truth because a straight man will listen. A man will always defend his woman. It is what it is, and I agree with what you're saying, Jones. A man will always defend his woman, but also gay men defend women as well.
Let me finish. The strongest form of power, you guys keep saying it's physical strength. I disagree. The strongest form of power is mental control and influence. If you're the strongest person and I can control your mind, then I can get you to do anything I want without lifting a finger. And that is what true power is. True power exerts minimal effort. So being strong and exerting a lot of effort doesn't mean you have a lot of power. It means you're strong. You guys are conflating strength with power. And those are two.
Well, then are you saying that women are more mentally
Let me finish.
than what men are?
Let me finish. There's a reason why the lowest paid person in the government, which is a police officer, carries a gun, but the highest paid people in the government don't carry weapons at all, right? Because physical strength is not the strongest level of power. The strongest level of power is mental, which is why the people at the top don't carry weapons. The people at the top don't move because power does not move. It makes others move. So you guys are trying to make this claim that, oh, physical strength is power. No, physical strength is not power. It's just strength. That's all it is strength, and you can't equate the two. If I am sitting on the back of a horse and a horse is going where the hell I tell it to go, the horse is not more powerful than me, but a horse is absolutely stronger than me. But guess what? It's still my fucking animal. Why? Because I've broken it and I control it. This is why human beings can control cows, horses, dogs, wolves, and all type of animals. Because regardless of their physical capabilities, of their physical strength, we have more mental power than them. We have more emotional power than them. We're more powerful beings. And so we can dominate them without even using physical strength. And that's the crazy part about it. Dogs are trained without any physical strength. Some dogs are trained without ever being hit. So you're trying to tell me that physical strength is power. Then if that's the case, then nobody would ever be able to train a mastiff. Nobody would ever be able to train a wolf. Nobody would ever be able to tame a lion. Nobody would ever be, because he used an example of a lion, right? And guess what lions do? They sit in our zoos and jump through hoops when we tell them to. They jump through rings of fire when we tell them to and eat when we tell them to, because we're more powerful beings than they are. So everything you guys are saying is complete nonsense. Strength is not power. And time again, history has shown that those in power don't need strength at all. They literally need zero physical strength to be in power, which is why it's better to be smart. What's the common trope? The common is that the strong rule the weak, but the wise rule the strong. So what are we even talking about?
All right. So here's what I think you're not negating. You're not even addressing, because the fact of the matter is that us as humans, if we remove the animal, analogies, us as humans have emotional responses, and you are correct. And you know what? I'm going to agree with you. You are correct. The person at the top is also the one who's more mentally able to have that control. But it takes only him to piss off one person to have an emotional response, and then the king is now poisoned by the servant that he put aside. You're negating our own human emotional response as well. I get what you're saying. As a matter of fact, I agree with what you're saying. to be a person at the top, you have to have a certain level of psychological, emotional and mental capacity. And it can put you at the top. But what you're negating is the emotional response of men and women. And it will always listen, that's why you have people say, oh well, I saw red. And then you have people, then there are prisons are now filled with different people, men and women, who responded, in that moment to take somebody out.
Again, the women aren't in prison because the women exercise their power in a different way to get people to do what they want.
Again, I'm not negating what you're saying. All I'm saying is for you that needs to be an additive. Having that superiority of mental, psychological, and intellect and emotional control is a key thing. I'm not negating that. I'm actually agreeing with you. What I'm saying is that you're not adding to the contributing factor of an emotional response as a human within our human nature. Now, if one is more disciplined, then they won't have that many emotional responses. But because there are a lot of people who try to lead and can't lead. At the end of the day, some people are meant to be followers, where you're not adding the emotional response factor into it.
It's literally what I've been saying.
Oh my gosh.
Literally, I mean, you're just proving my point. But I mean, let me just read this to you real quick because we're talking about power here, right? I want to read to you what the definition of power is, just so we can understand. The definition of power is the capacity or ability to direct or influence the behavior of others or the courses of events. So the thing that you guys are saying isn't power is literally what power is, the ability to influence others. It's not the ability to just do stuff. It's the ability to influence others and the courses of events, which is literally what
Jones.
Literal definition of power. So
okay,
I'm like,
we agree. I think Naomi and I have already conceded that we agree with that. What you're not adding to the equation is men that also have the influence and the strength combined. This is what we're saying. You're acting like every man falls to women. It's not true, which is what I was trying to prove to you. Yes, there are men that will fall. Not every king fell to women. Some kings died in the battlefield. And no, brother. We agree with you. What we're saying is you have to add in your argument and your analysis that there are some men, I'm included, where we will also have the mental intellect, the mental smarts, addition to our physical strength, which makes us more superior. Meaning, the influence of a woman cannot control me. Her vagina cannot control me. So if I disagree with her terms and I disagree with her position, and we can't come to a common ground, now I'm going to use my strength because we are equally matched mentally. So the only thing left is to really duke it out. What I'm saying to you is we agree with you, but you're thinking every man would fall to a woman based on the skill set of a woman. And that's not the case all the time. History has already proven that because men are the ones that really set up kingdoms, although you have a female influence. I'm not saying that's not a contributing factor, but you're losing out that there are men that are mentally and physically capable of not falling to a woman's vices.
Who do these men build these kingdoms in dedication of? Who was the Taj Mahal?
So here's the thing as well. I'm not even negating. No, hold on, if I may. Your example. Hold on, if I may. Your example that men won't succumb to women. I even agree with you on that. The fact of the matter is, I think that every man who's been in a negative relationship will say, I succumb to that woman. But you're negating the fact that men, they realign, they readjust, and then men lose that sensitivity. They become more disciplined. They become more intellectually, mentally, psychologically superior. Because at one point or another, every man has fallen to a woman. It is what it is. because men desire women. I don't think that men should be shamed for that. Now, depending on the type of woman, hold on, depending on the type of woman that he succumbed to, he may have been manipulated or hurt or whatever in any way, shape, or form. And the unfortunate fact of the matter is there are women out there that do those things and move that way intentionally. But once a man does that and he experiences that, he changes, readjusts, he becomes more disciplined, and then now he's moving in a different way. And then he won't succumb to that. Then he won't be as easily manipulated. Then he won't be, and that is the only thing that I'm trying. Because once a man becomes, what's the word I'm looking for? Once a man becomes immune to certain things, he won't be as easily manipulated. Once he's experienced certain things, he won't do this again. That's why a majority of men, once they've been married and they get divorced, they're more cautious in how they move and how they react, and the woman that they choose once they enter into a new relationship.
And that's great, but that got nothing to do with nothing because they've already done what I said all men do, which is succumb to a woman. So it's like you literally just proved my point. I don't even know why we went in circles to say for y'all to come back to say the same damn thing I've been saying the whole time.
Because because listen, the fact of the matter is I'm not even negating what you're saying.
Of course
you're saying, what you keep saying and fighting on is that not even you're not even noticing, you're not even aware to the fact that we're actually agreeing with you. Or that I'm actually agreeing with you. I even said I agree with you to this degree. I agree with you to this point. I agree with you to this. I'm not negating what you're saying. What you're minimizing and not acknowledging is the fact that even when that happens, men move differently. They tend to become more smarter, psychologically, intellectually, emotionally, and even more disciplined sexually, to where those things don't affect them anymore to move differently.
Yeah, of course. Everybody, when they make a mistake, they get smarter. That's called experience. That's human life. Everybody learns from their bullshit. That's
no,
literally
everybody
life.
does not learn that. Everybody does not learn that.
You get wiser. That's why they call it wisdom. I like that's not even, that's a moot point.
It's not a moot point, Jones, because everybody does not learn from their mistake. No, everyone does not learn. Everyone does not learn from their mistake. Everyone does not learn. Everyone does not have wisdom. That's why it's called wisdom. It's only granted to those that learn the lesson. Wisdom is not granted to everybody.
That when people get older, they learn stuff. Holy crap. Oh my God.
Listen, brother, I'm saying in general, you can't apply wisdom to everyone, and everyone does not learn a lesson. And also, although I agree with Naomi, I think she made great points. I disagree with her when she says every man has fallen to a woman. Every man has not fallen to a woman. Every man has not.
Right now by agreeing.
Sorry?
Not the ones that got married really young and stayed married.
Well, every man has not fallen to a woman. No one has no numbers to validate it. And I know men in my own life that's not fallen to no woman. And I've known people in scripture that's not fallen to
you had kids. You didn't do that by not falling into some pum pum. What are you talking about? They not your wives, are they? Are you married?
Brother, that's your
or are they
yes, but I'm saying that's your brother, that is your listen, I'm telling you right now, that is your assessment on sex. Where you think if a man has sex with a woman that he fell victim to a woman. Some women fall victim to a man. It's mutual. It's not one thing that's exclusive. When a woman desires a man, she also can get twisted. And the women will tell you that I fell into lust. I fell into a man's smooth words or whatever the case is. I was manipulated. Women fall into those things.
You never fell into lust.
One or the other.
You never fell into lust.
That's not the conversation. You just said that if a man...
That's literally the conversation. That is exactly the conversation.
That's not what you said. You said, no. You said, and you guys could, JR, Stein type it. He said, if a man has kids with a woman, it means that man has fell victim to a woman. That's what you said. You said if a man had kids with a woman, that means he fell victim to a woman. And that she has control because she had to bear his kids and she has full control. That's what you said. And I'm saying to you, that's not true. She controls some of it. It's mutual because I have to put seed in her. Without the seed in her, she has no control. So I play a part in her having that control. If I never touch this woman and I don't put no seed in her, she has no control. The fact that I did do that off my own choices, now yes, she does have control because the Bible tells you you're not. No, but we both have.
You fell, doggy.
Yeah. I didn't, brother. You're
Fell,
just silly,
doggy.
bro.
You fell for the pum pum doggy. The pum pum, hold you dog.
For no.
Let me get to these super chats.
Pum pum, hold you.
My life, your entertainment. 999
The
stuff.
pum pum, hold him say, yo, I'm off a breeder. I'm off a breeder.
Clout. Hold on. The stud maker uses false feminist talking points to lure women to leave their men so that she can get with those women. She's a bitter baby mama cosplaying as a stud. Hunter 499 says, do you have what it takes to be offended by everything? Want to learn how to be liberal? Cuck soy boy. I am Jonah, except when I identify as Tom. Hunter again says propaganda is a form of force, so he is right. The problem with feminists getting on videos is in the fun to see feminists embarrass themselves and look the fool, but it doesn't teach scholarly etiquette. Privacy Foul Out says also how you're going to tell Cloud to hold on, yet you interrupt him. This whole convo. Relax, listen, understand, not to respond. Prophecy again. Here's a suggestion. Grab a pen and notepad and write your thoughts down. Stop interrupting, shaking my head. This is sad. Relax. Prophecy again, straight like that. Allow people to respond. Stop interrupting because you don't like the response. This a dialogue. Prophecy again. JR, get off the phone and stop this. Laugh my ass off. Prophecy again, shaking my head straight like that. Lost the plot. Now we debating something different. This is not even the topic at hand. What the helly? Gentleman Status 199 says, Clout with the win. And Construct Icon, what's going on, brother? 199, Clout Jones for the win. Want to thank everybody that has contributed to the platform. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the show today. It's been a long day. Thursday show is tomorrow. We are live tomorrow, 8 p.m. Central Time, 9 p.m. No, 8:20 Central and 9:20 Eastern. So if you guys are not doing anything, we're going to give you guys a great show tomorrow right before the holiday, if you celebrate the holiday. Thanks, Cloud, for coming up. And Naomi, thank you for coming up as well. Dory G, yeah, you've been here long. I thought you came on originally, but thank you for coming up as well. Y'all enjoy the rest of the night, because it's 12:30 for some folks. And see y'all tomorrow. Thank you guys for your support as well.